See, when you do things with your hair, you're sending a message.
That's a nappy-headed hose.
I saw Cynthia McKinney's new hairdo. Have you seen it, Belinda?
No.
She looks like a ghetto slut.
If your hair is relaxed, white people are relaxed. If your hair is nappy, they're not happy.
Nappy-headed hose.
Growing up, I considered anybody's hair but mine good hair. Like, my mom is white. I'm half Russian and Norwegian on my mother's side, so my mom's hair is silky and blonde. And I was like, why? Just why didn't I get your genetics? That was what I looked at as, good hair was white hair.
White women may wake up in the morning knowing that their hair is beautiful as it is. Their hair need only be styled, not fixed.
Nappy-headed hose. Nappy-headed hose. Nappy-headed hose.
She ain't got no hair. She done died, fried, and chemicalized her head to death.
Why does everybody on the outside come?
Because they don't want to walk around with a nappy head looking like...
Looking like what? Like me? Like a nigger?
It looks like an explosion in a Brillo pad factory.
What makes you ashamed of being black?
Little girl with the pressing curls. Age 8, I got a Jerry curl. 13, and I got a relaxer. I was the source of so much laughter. 15, when it all broke off. 18, and I went all natural. February 2002, I went on and did what I had to do, because it was time to change my life, to become the woman that I am inside. 97 dreadlocks all gone. I looked in the mirror for the first time and saw that, hey.
See, when you do things with your hair, you're sending a message.
Context of white supremacy. Gus T Renegade, Justice, and for another program to share constructive information on racism, white supremacy. I'm not going to talk as much this program, so I will get out my two announcements at the very beginning. Number one, I do need a book quickly. We have a program, The Black Male from Nigeria. The program got rescheduled for this coming Friday. That would be Friday, March 25th. Black male, he resides in the area of the world known as Nigeria. He is the author of the book, The Ikoyi Prison Narratives, The Spiritualism and Political Philosophy of Fela Kuti. Need the book. It's at Amazon.com and on my wish list. If you could grab that, that would be super helpful. If you think the program is constructive, my wish list is under Gus T Renegade at Amazon.com, and it is linked here at the show page for the cows at Blog Talk Radio. That would be super helpful. And the final announcement, I got my copy of Mr. Fuller's Word Guide in the mail today. Very excited. Haven't had a chance to even flip through it yet. But Mr. Fuller will be making his 10th visit to the context of white supremacy tomorrow. That would be Sunday, March 20th. Showtime. Folks in the UK, showtime will be, see if I can do it, midnight. Kind of late if you're up. It'll be at midnight in the UK. Folks on the East Coast, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 5 p.m. Pacific. But Neely Fuller Jr. making his 10th visit to the context of white supremacy. And we will be discussing race, the concept of race. What does that mean? And why black people tend to be confused into thinking that they are a member of a race. Tune in tomorrow. That said, this program was suggested from B. Moore. She was on the broadcast a couple weeks back. We did a program picking out racism, white supremacy at the All-Star Game. During that program, she requested that we dedicate some time to discussing racism, white supremacy, and hair, and quite a few of the non-white, black, female listeners agreed, thought that would be a very constructive topic, and that is why we are here today. Let's see, I'm just going to get the folks on the phone lines for all of the folks who are supposed to be participating. We have, if you're on the line and you're one of the females that, wanted to participate, press 1. If you already pressed 1, you're good, but press 1. That way I'll know who I'm dealing with. I guess I'll go with the person who came the farthest to participate, returning to the context of white supremacy. A lot of people thoroughly enjoyed hearing from her. She was a guest on the program a few weeks back, live from the United Kingdom. See if I can pronounce her name correctly. Miss Sanele, are you on the line?
Yes, I'm here. Hello.
Okay. Greetings. Good to hear from you.
Good to be back.
Beautiful, beautiful. Lots of folks, they thoroughly enjoyed your program and just said it was super refreshing to hear from a non-white person who had such great information and from, other side of the world. They really, I think they'll be really pleased to hear you with us today. Let's see. We have the co-author of Trojan Horse, Death of a Dark Nation. She's been here a bunch. It is always a pleasure to have her on the program. Super constructive information. Her website, TrojanHorse1.com. It's linked on the show page as well. Pam, you are with us?
Yes, I am. Hi.
Beautiful. Good to hear from you.
Same here.
Let's see. Person who called in, we'll just do last four. 8162. 8162. Are you there?
Greetings, everyone. I'm here.
Greetings. Good to hear from you. Let's see. I just had her on the line. Okay, here we go. The person who suggested the show in the first place, joining us, I believe, live from Tennessee. B. Moore, are you with us?
I am. Peace, everybody.
Hello?
Hi. Greetings.
Okay, let's see. The person who dialed in 2654, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay. And how do you want to be referenced?
LBM.
LBM?
Yes.
LBM, okay. And 8067. 8067, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. How are you, Gus?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Thanks for having me on today.
For sure. Actually, I'm going to strike that from the record. I'm trying to catch myself and be honest. I am never doing well in the system of white supremacy. Never. I want to make sure I am more honest in answering that question. So if you hear me say well, just remind, are you really doing well? The answer is no. No. At any rate, so that's everybody that has a hand up. If you called in and you want to participate, you are a black female, non-white female, you want to participate, press 1 and I can get you on the line. With that said, I'm about to sit. I just want to make sure, is everyone on the line at this point? Is everyone on the line a black female?
Yes.
Yep. 8162, yes.
Okay.
8067, yes.
Pam is here.
Okay. I'm going to take my seat and mute my line and just kind of listen and follow along and learn. I just want to see if I did anything that was incorrect and or offensive with the photographs that were selected or the audio clip that began the program.
No. This is 8162. While looking at the clips and listening to the audio, my stomach churned a little bit, but that's the reality about black hair that I've grown up with. I was a little surprised, except for the India Irie song, which I appreciated, that there weren't any female voices about hair. Did I miss that, or were there some?
I didn't hear any.
Was that intentional, Gus?
I definitely wanted to make sure I had white people making comments about hair, so I didn't really care if it was a white woman or a white man making comments. If I had really been, I would have tried to press to see if I could get some comments of white women making comments about black people's hair. And I actually did have one in mind. There's a white woman that I suspect is a racist. Just doing that, not to name call. She did a YouTube video where she was talking really bad about black females, and she had like a container of some sort of hair product, and I was going to splice that in, but just slipped my mind. As far as non-white people, I wanted there to be non-white males. I wanted there to be non-white males commenting as well, because I felt there were going to be, the female voices were going to be on the phone for most of the program, and I feel like this problem affects black males as well, so I wanted to make sure that was represented. So I didn't mind going heavy with the male voices in the clip, because I knew that was going to be corrected once the program began. And I mean, you got photos of Reverend Al Sharpton, James Brown. This problem has a big impact on black males as well. So I wanted to make sure that voice was included.
Thank you.
Yeah, you had some good clips. I think that illustrated very clearly that hair is a weapon. Mm-hmm. Black hair is a weapon used against black women to demean and degrade and humiliate. So I think you you picked some pretty good clips to illustrate that.
Yeah. No black queen in the bunch.
Yep.
But you know what, Pam?
Hi,
this is LBM. It doesn't have to be a weapon against us. We unfortunately, we've participated in allowing it to be a weapon against us.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. It wouldn't be a weapon if we did not internalize that madness.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the crazy things that was, I think it was said during the Chris Rock thing, where I think I may be on another flick, but I think where the guy was saying something about not being able to run his hands through a black woman's hair because of tracks or whatnot. But I was saying to myself, when have black men ever run their hands through black women's hair? When was that ever something that took place in our community?
Right.
Right. Because they didn't like getting their hands greasy with all that pressing grease.
And where did they get the language from to begin with?
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. I've been thinking a lot about this hair show for a number of reasons, and I was trying to remember my earliest influence with hair, and that it wasn't a negative, but it was a positive in that the ritual of preparing for church Saturday night, and it was, and I was in a community. I was a little girl in a community of little black girls who were participating in this ritual of, go outside and play till the street lights came on. Then you had to go in and get ready for church Sunday morning and get your hair done. And you're all greased up and your hair's pressed and you got your little burn on the back of your ear. But all the oohs and the ahs, and, oh, aren't you a pretty girl? After all of that was done, was some strokings for a little black girl in the black community, in the black church. And all the little black girls around me looked that way. And I was wondering about other women in their earliest experience with their hair, and was it positive?
Well, at the time that it was happening, you thought it was because you had no reason to think otherwise. I mean, at that time, like you said, all of the little girls were having their hair hot combed. I mean, I guess at that time for you and for me, I guess at that time, the whole Afro and Afro puffs thing wasn't out yet. So, but I'm saying it was something that everyone did.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, we didn't see anything abnormal because, like you said, everybody did it. We didn't think that there was something wrong with us. Yeah.
Right.
And it felt good. It was like the poison in the cookies.
Yeah. I enjoyed getting my scalp oiled. I loved it. My mother part my hair and put a little thing of grease down the part, and I would just sit there and be in heaven. I'd go to sleep. She said, "Wake up, girl."
And that you reminded me too of how sitting between mother's or grandmother's knees, and even sisters' knees, having your hair combed and braided.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
This is LBM. I don't recall good experiences with the hot comb because I was one of those girls with like a lot of hair in the top, in the front, and short hair in the back, and no, that wasn't a good experience for me. What was a really great experience was, that for me only lasted a little while. In my early teens, my grandmother started to wrap our hair with string. And that was a great experience, sitting between her legs and having her do that, and, learning a little later on that, that was like a tradition, straight from Africa. And, throughout much of my teen years, my hair was wrapped. Mm-hmm. And that was, and I remember, not just, the wrapping of the hair, but like you said, sitting there, between my grandmother's legs was like, you were so glad when your turn came. It was that was just a wonderful experience. Mm-hmm.
It was a community of women. You got to hear the news, women talking with each other, visiting, and you felt like one of the women. I did. Part of the group, connected.
Right.
And I think as I grew up, the beauty shop, the grown-up beauty shop, going to the beauty shop was a part of that staying connected, especially going to college, integrated college or white college.
And you were still straightening your hair at that point?
Mm-hmm. Sure. Weekly. A lot of money.
If you can imagine what it takes now to have these elaborate hairdos, I know some young ladies, well, they're not even really, they may be in their 40s, and they seem to have a different hairstyle, a different weaved hairstyle maybe every other week. And I'm thinking, like, how much money is that?
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, because this one lady at my job, she changes her hair, it looks like about every 2 weeks. And it's always long. Sometimes it's long braided, sometimes it's long and, long and straight. So she does a lot of things with it. And I saw her the other day, and I thought to myself, she's an attractive lady. I just thought, well, how much money is it costing you? How much time to sit there in that chair and go through that every other week?
This is Triumph at 8067. I just wanted to chime in. I don't have any positive childhood memories of getting my hair done. My grandmother, she passed away before I was born, and hair was a bad experience for me. It was against my whole being. It was against my texture of hair. So every time it was time to get my hair done, I had to sit down and have a comb built to flow through European's hair. I had to have that rake through my hair. My hair is very, very thick. It's not coarse, but it's very thick. It's very healthy, And every time it was time for me to sit between my mom's legs, it was to sit down and have that altered. And I recognized that it was something wrong with that from day one. I mean, after, you're in pigtails, when I got to, like, middle school, and you're becoming a young adult, all of that for me, it was a negative experience.
How old were you when you first had that thought that there was something wrong with it?
The first time that I thought something was wrong with the treatment of my hair, I think that I was around 7 years old. I was getting my hair pressed. Actually, my mom was gone, and my sister decided that she wanted to press my hair while my mom was away. And I sat down to have my hair pressed, and my sister had left the hot comb on the stove too long. So when my sister took that first swoop through my hair, I just hear this noise, and then I put my hands up to my hair, and I pull my hands down, and my hair is ash, it's gray. It burnt my hair immediately. And I was maybe about 7 or 8 years old, but for me, that's when some red flags started going up.
I bet you can still smell it.
I can still hear it. I can still smell it. I can still feel it.
Wow. Wow.
Go ahead.
This is Zanila speaking. I just wanted to ask, just all the callers, just roughly what the status of your hair is now. Are you natural, relaxed, or
Was that question directed to everyone?
That's just to everyone. If everyone can just say.
Oh.
What the
well,
hair
now
is.
my hair is. My hair is locked. My hair is locked. My hair has been locked since.
I'm sorry, ma'am. I'm picking up a lot.
I'm hearing some noise.
Yeah, a tremendous amount. Like, mute button. If you know you're in a loud environment, use your mute button. I think we're good now. Thank you.
LBM has locks.
The female that I interrupted, if you could finish your response, my apologies. It was difficult to focus on what you were saying because there was so much background interference.
I think that was LB.
No, LBM is still on. I have locks.
This is 818. My hair is natural. Sometimes when I don't feel like doing anything to it, I wear a curly wig or I'll wear a wrap up my head or scarf or something.
Ditto for me, the answer you just gave.
This is 8162. It's natural and 2 braids on the side of my head.
This is 8067. My hair is locked. My hair has been locked since 1998.
And this would be more, and I have lots of stuff.
I don't know if anybody was me. It's Pam, natural. Sometimes I wear scarves, wraps, something like that.
Yeah, I think I'll just answer too. I didn't say anything. I'm also natural. I just wanted to just kind of find out where we all are with our hair at the moment.
Yeah,
when did everyone decide to go natural? What was the circumstances around making that decision?
It's been a few years for me since I've stopped relaxing my hair, and it mainly was because I had gone through spells of growing it out, then relaxing it, and then growing it out. And one day I was in the shower washing my hair, and I was shampooing a certain spot, and it felt kind of funny. And as I went to pull my hair, there was no hair there. It had fallen out like a patch of it, and I didn't know it. And at that point, I realized I wasn't going to have any hair if I kept relaxing it. So I decided to just grow it out, see how much my hair could grow, because I realized it was strong with me not putting anything in there. So, I would do different things. Sometimes I would get it straightened like with heat, or I would wear wigs or scarves and things like that. And it just got to a point that I had enough hair. It was long enough and strong enough to where I was like, okay, it doesn't even make sense for me to go back to doing all this other stuff to it. And I can keep my hair, but I didn't know what to do with it for a long, long time. So I would still wear wigs and scarves and things like that. But recently I found, they have a lot of videos on YouTube and stuff, so I found some products that I could use to define the curl, control the hair, and just wear it, and I'm really happy with my own hair.
This is Hello?
No, go ahead, please.
What prompted me to lock my hair, it was more so the ritual and the just what you had to go through, because when you relax your hair, my hair is so thick that my hair actually will resist relaxers. So I would have to get the super duper perm. I guess it was called a super back in the day when I was getting my hair perm. And I would have to go through this process. My hair is so thick and so rebellious. This process needed to be repeated, not every month, roughly every 3 weeks. It would leave sores. It would leave scabs. Once the hair was permed, it had to be flat ironed. It had to be curled. There was heat on it on a day-to-day basis. Ends were constantly split, needing to be clipped. It was, I looked at the preposterousness of the ritual, and that's what I rebelled against initially. Like, something has to stop it. It wasn't even a matter of beauty. It was my mind's natural reaction to wanting to solve what it recognized as a problem. I wanted to solve the problem of having scabs, having pain, the smell of the chemicals, the fear every time that you perm your hair. Did I use the right neutralizing shampoo? Is it going to fall out after I wash it out? This is terror. I just want to put that out there, that what black women go through to alter their hair chemically is terrorism. It's terror. It was a horror, and I wanted to get away from that, so that's why I locked my hair.
This is LBM. For me, actually, hair was never really a big deal to me. I even as a girl, as a grade school girl, I looked around me and I saw how important hair was, to people. And part of my growing up was in the South Bronx, and I had a lot of friends who, had brothers or sisters, and relevant to this conversation, who had sisters where one sister may have had, a black father, and the other sister may have had a Puerto Rican father. And that whole issue of hair, long hair, straight hair, was very, very much prevalent when I was growing up. And I saw how it hurt people, how it hurt, little girls, and so for me, I think at that point I had already decided, like, hair was just not an issue for me. And I also saw how with the little girls, as long as they had long hair, they were considered pretty. So there was a lot of girls that I didn't consider to be very pretty, but I noticed that if they had long hair, they were considered to be pretty. So just the hair just was. It wasn't something that was necessarily a positive to me at that time. And I remember even as a maybe around 16 or 17, when my mother's fingers could no longer wrap my hair or braid it, I cut it all off. I just cut it all off. I didn't even want to deal with it. It was just not a big deal for me. So when she could no longer wrap it or braid it, I just cut it off. And I can remember one of my uncles saying to her, why did you let her do that? Why did you let her cut off her hair? And my mom was like, well, she's grown. She can do what she wants to do at this point, and it was that way until, I started to lock it. And so for most of my adult life, it's been locked. And even with the locks, the emphasis, again, that people put on length, it's no big thing for me to cut mine. It's just not that critical for me.
It's sacrilege to cut your hair.
Mm-hmm.
I said it act like it's sacrilege to cut your hair.
Right, sure.
You committed a crime against humanity.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, in my case, it's a real short story. Just got tired of it, so that's pretty much sums it up.
This is 8162. Oh, Pam, were you?
Pam?
Were you finished? Pam, were you finished?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh. This is 8162. I grew up in a Pentecostal household, and with the scripture, with a grandmother constantly, and great-grandmother, and constantly quoting the scriptures about my hair being my crowning glory, or it's a glory to me, and so through the years, that's what I grew up with. But 5 years ago, I was confronted with the loss of all my hair due to chemo and radiation treatments, and surviving cancer. And my hair starting to grow back. I've just been letting it do what it wants to do.
Yeah. Well, we're glad you're here.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. It's good to be here to fight racism and white supremacy.
That's right. We need you to fight that other battle. We need all the help we can get.
I can relate to you on the whole thing of coming up in a Pentecostal environment, because I did too, and it was always a quote of the Pauline doctrine about, woman's hair being her glory and you're not supposed to cut it, and we were even taught at one point that if you even trimmed your ends, you were putting a razor to your head, and and hearing stuff like, well, I remember one church I was at, the pastor's wife, she was the one that taught you weren't even supposed to trim your ends. And we were like, well, when you get split ends, your hair's going to break and be unhealthy. And she was like, well, all you got to do is you brush your hair and give it 100 strokes a day, and it'll be fine. And it's like, what? I love and respect her, but it was things like that. So hair was definitely a big thing. And I remember my grandfather one time saying something to me about doing something to my nappy hair. Mm-hmm. It was like, and then there was this thing because of Pauline doctrine again against braiding the hair and putting any ornamentation in your hair. And so, like, my aunts were growing up, it was a struggle for my grandmother to even get my grandfather to be okay with just braiding their hair in more than 2 braids. Mm-hmm. It's just, in our community, I think we just have a lot of issues around hair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've had curls. Growing up, my hair was natural. And I had a lot of hair, and it was thick, and I was tender-headed. So I think that was the first thing that, moved my mom toward trying to put some sort of relaxer in it to make it a little easier to comb, because I would give her hell over it. I really would. She used to pay my aunt to do my hair because I wouldn't act like that with my aunt. But she tried to give me a relaxer, I think, 1st grade, and you can see on my 1st grade pictures my hair's looking kind of weird, but it didn't really take all the way. Then it was back to natural, and then later on it was Jerry curls, and then after that it was, going to the little House of Charm, this little white house on the corner where the old lady would press your hair and you read the Ebony and Jet magazines and stuff, and have your little Shirley Temple curls for a while, and then I got old enough and I was kind of left to my own with my hair. But there were weekends where me and my mom, she would do my touch-ups or my relaxer and hers, and, it became kind of like a bonding ritual. My mom used to do people's Jerry curls when I was popular. They'd come over to the house and pay her and sit under the hooded dryer and get your curl done.
I remember when people would come to our house and my mother would, with their Jerry curls, and my mother would run and grab a towel. Right. Put on the
and
back
that smell.
I'm so glad that is gone. I'm so glad the Jerry curl is over.
Yeah.
Now listen to this.
Watching people's hair drip.
Here's something that's very interesting in that, I mean, we really, if we can get black women to think about this thing chemically, it would definitely help us. I was listening to Dick Gregory on another program a couple of weeks ago, and he was making the point, which, you know, makes sense. He was saying, why is it that the majority of women, you know, getting these fibroids are black women? You know, and we've been accustomed to just hearing that, but nobody's saying why. And he was saying, and I was thinking about like the women in my own family. He was saying even when black women were having their hair hot combed, you didn't have this incidence of fibroids that we have now. And I didn't get to do very much research on my own, but what little bit I did look up, there was a link between these chemicals in the relaxers and reproductive cancers and fibroids, uterine fibroids. So he was making the direct link between not so much the straightening of the hair, because, again, it wasn't happening with the hot comb, but with the advent of the relaxers.
Something to think about.
That when that came about, when black women started perming their hair with the chemical relaxers, this incidence of fibroid tumors escalated. And I was thinking about even like the women in my family, you know, most of them are plagued with this thing later in life when they started to use the perm as opposed to when they were hot combing their hair. And even I look at my mother, and my mother, who used to hot comb her hair but hasn't processed her hair, like, say, in the last 15 years because she had recurring fibroids. And she hasn't processed her hair in about 15 years, and she hasn't had a recurrence with these fibroids in that amount of time. So I said, well, I had to give it to him on that one. I think that's a valid point.
Right. If you look up fibroids, and I do a lot of study on it because I have fibroids, later in life is usually when they do occur. So the childbearing years and later, but especially the 30s and so. A big thing in uterine fibroids is the estrogen dominance. So you have to take into account, too, even in a lot of the hair products we use, whether we relax or not, whether they be lotions, just any hair grooming stuff, you want to look on the back for xenoestrogens. So anything with ethyl, methyl, propyl, butyl, those are xenoestrogens. They're in bath products. Like I have to take everything back to Bath and Body Works because it was in just about everything from there. If you go to YouTube, there's a channel called Shola, S-H-O-L-A, Oslo, O-S-L-O. And you can find tons of helpful information on her site about fibroids and what causes them, how to get rid of, the estrogen dominance in your body, and how to detox. I have no idea what kind of chemicals are in relaxers, but I'm pretty sure there probably are some xenoestrogens in them. But I'm thinking maybe it's something in us having melanin or being highly melanated that makes us more sensitive, our reaction to these synthetic estrogens. But I don't think a lot of women had them back in the day because we weren't eating as much processed foods either. And they weren't putting stuff like soy and everything. Because your body reads soy as an estrogen.
And a lot of people take birth control pills and
that'll do it too.
Yeah. You know what? I don't want to make this into any kind of conspiracy thing, but of course the hair relaxer products are a pretty easy way.
Sure.
If somebody wants to put something into your system.
Sure.
And there aren't any
black discount that either.
Making perm products. Well, now there are, but for many, many years, they were only white-dominated, white companies producing perm products for black hair.
I'm thinking it's all in the hands of the Koreans probably at this point. If you watch a particular documentary on YouTube, it's not good hair, but it is something else about hair. It's the one where they show a black company owner, and they owned a company that made these particular, they were either hot combs, flat irons, or curlers or something, but it was a really high-quality product. and the Koreans would go and buy their product and then knock it off and make a cheaper, lower quality version. But, you know, black people, we're not loyal to our own brands and companies, so they just went for the price, and they would start buying all the ones from the Koreans, but it was making it really hard for the black business to stay in business. But if you look on that particular documentary, it's showing them, I believe that's the one where they're showing something about relaxers, but they're showing how most of the products are in the hands of the Koreans now, and how even the magazines on black hair care that they produce, they don't even make them in English. They're all in Korean.
Wow.
Because that's how hard they dominate that market.
Yeah.
And I don't think they hire us. I'm telling you, I'm in LA, and every time I used to go like to the Slauson Swap Meet, which is like the indoor swap meet in LA, there might be one or two black shop owners. Everybody else is Korean. And whenever I would see a looking for help sign, it would say bilingual only, which canceled out most black people because we don't speak Spanish. But the majority of the shoppers were not Mexican people. So why was bilingual necessary? It seemed to me like they were willing to take our money. And this is not trashing all Koreans, because there's some of them there that are very friendly and I'm really cool with. But, you know, just as a general rule, I would notice they wanted bilingual speaking people only. But Spanish speaking people weren't the majority of their shoppers.
Maybe that's just a way to, you know, to exclude, to justify not hiring black people.
And that's what it seemed like to me.
Well, why do you assume that bilingual means Spanish?
Because in L.A., English and Spanish are about the only languages spoken, and you're not going to see Korean shoppers there. So it wouldn't be Korean as the other language. And when you would look at who they would hire, it was all Mexican girls.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Gotcha.
So that's pretty much the neighborhood is black and people that speak Spanish, and then the Korean merchants come in to do business. But most of them, well, none of them live in that area particularly.
Same thing in my city. They don't live next door to us. You know, I don't know any Koreans that live next door to any black people. Or I don't know any black people that have any Korean neighbors.
But, you know, now that I was just going to say, now that I'm natural, I don't need to go buy as many of those products from the store.
Right.
You know, all of that stuff to make it lay down, do this, make the curls stick right, make the straight stick straight. I don't need that anymore. So it keeps my money out of their hands and in my pockets.
Right, and that feeds into that whole idea of it being more manageable. I mean, I don't understand how it could be more manageable if it's costing that much and taking that much, requiring that much upkeep. I don't know how that feeds into manageability. But I'd like to know from you ladies, I mean, that whole economic piece is definitely something that we need to consider. But, you know, again, I would imagine that if any of us could sell these products to black women in terms of just making money, we would too. I don't, obviously the people that are, those of us that continue to do that, apparently, obviously, we're not caring how much it costs or who's selling it. So can we get back to, the psychological aspect in terms of what is it that's making us feel like, those of us that continue to do it, making us feel like, the hair has to be straight.
Acceptance by the dominant society.
Absolutely.
Acceptance
and by our own
other
people.
women in our lives.
The images.
And wanting to be what we perceive as what men think is attractive to those who are also of the same psychology. It's weird, though, because what I found, when your hair is not straightened as a black female, if you're wearing your natural hair, it's bizarre to me and I don't like it, but it's still kind of comical at the same time. There's always somebody white. Oh, my goodness, your hair is so cool. Oh, can I touch it? Like, oh, and it's like, no, I don't want you in my hair. But I haven't seen them do that to black people with relaxed hair.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder, it's got to be something more than just as different. I wonder what their real motivation. I mean, I'm sure for some people it is curiosity, but I wonder what other things motivate them to. Maybe it's because you have something they don't. Is it ever white men that say that to you, or is it usually white females?
Most times. Occasionally it'll be a white female, but most of the time it is a white male. And I think it's the same thing as wanting to be next to black or dark skin, because I remember one time I was singing with this band at this little small bar in L.A., and I had this big afro wig that I was using then, for work and stuff and acting. I'd actually booked a commercial with it and stuff. So I was like, hey, this would be cool to wear for the show. So I'm wearing the afro, and I don't think it's not. I mean, I guess white people can't always tell when something's a wig and when it's not. But I guess it looks okay on me. But, man, after we got off the stage, there was some white guy. He was from Europe. Oh, my goodness, your hair is so cool. Oh, it's divine. Oh, can I touch it? And he was all on me. He had been drinking a little bit, but I literally had to duck and dodge and try to be in a different part of the place because he was on me that hard, wanting to put his fingers in the afro wig. But it's been sober people that have done this, too. He was just, a little more intense with it than most are. But generally, I do find that when my hair is natural, that it is usually white people who give me the most attention about it or who are most interested in it.
I would have to share that experience with you, 818, in that I have actually been minding my own business and, studying or just minding my own business and felt someone's hands in my hair before I could turn around, and it's been white people, and they want you to be flattered that they're curious. Mm-hmm. And when you're not flattered and say, don't touch my person, it's like, oh, chill. Mm-hmm. Because society tells them that as a black woman, they have access to blackness.
And not only that, a black person wouldn't come up and touch your hair.
Pardon?
I said, because black people know not to come up and touch anybody's hair. So that's definitely a white thing. They'll even touch your body.
Yeah.
A white female will touch your body.
Mhm. Oh, and if you're wearing something like a fiber, is that? Oh, that's. Is that real? Is basically. Is whatever I'm wearing? It's. Oh, is that real? That's what they're going after?
Yeah, it's always it's almost. I had this one lady. She wasn't about the clothes or the hair. It was just about me being in the restroom, the women's room of a very expensive hotel. Are you staying here? Just try to make it seem friendly, but I mean, just then she tried to clean it up. Well, I was just wondering if XYZ. I'm thinking to myself, no, it wasn't. You just wanted to know if I could afford to stay there, which I could. I just happened to stop in off the street to use the restroom, but I just thought to myself, my God, is it really that important to you that you want to know if I can afford to stay here?
Was that the Drake Cam?
Huh?
The bathroom at the Drake?
No, it wasn't the Drake. I forget what hotel it was. It's gone now in Chicago, but it was on Michigan Avenue. I forget the name of it. And I couldn't. I forget what it was, but I just happened to step in.
Okay.
My goodness, I'm like, good, get a life.
Well, society tells them that, and this is vestiges of the old Jim Crow refined, that they have permission to question blackness wherever with women, wherever you are. We can ask you what you're doing there.
Greetings. Can I be heard?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, hey, 818, Pam.
Hi.
Hi.
And I don't know the other caller from New York. This is 404.
Hello, 404.
Hello. Hello. Nice to hear you on the phone. I'm surprised that there are no men out here with hair issues.
Oh, they're out there, but I think we were the invite. We were.
Oh, just for women only?
Yeah, that's the impression I got, that he wanted the black women to talk about the hair. Yeah, but definitely men got issues.
And
I'd like to make a point based on what we were just talking about. This white female, she's a piece of work. I just have no patience for it. A lot of that so-called curiosity, it's a very devious curiosity on her part, because basically what she's saying is when you're not trying to look like me, okay, I got to find out what's going on now.
Right.
Because as long as you're trying to look like me, everything's cool. But how dare you wear your natural hair and there's nothing wrong?
Right.
Like you're not having a bad hair day or whatever, you know what I mean? And then it's like you're not supposed to be attractive with that hair.
Right. I think
you're not supposed to carry yourself confidently with that hair.
Right.
So I mean, she's so insecure that this thing is. I mean, I watch this every day. This I don't want to name call. I don't want Gus to bell me or whatever. But this wench is not. She's not a joke. And basically, that thing with our hair is it is. I don't know. I mean, because I work in so-called corporate America, and these chicks are so insecure, and they're looking for whatever reason. The way that I carry myself, they don't really approach me, but I see how they look like. She's not supposed to be attractive with that hair. Right. What's going on?
Absolutely.
But they want to know, well, did anyone ever talk to you about your hair? Is it okay with you coming to work like that? That's one of the first things that they usually want to know. And it's like, why should someone ask me about my hair? Do they ask these white women that come up in here with their hair or white men with these streaks or whatever they want to put on their hair? They don't ask them anything, so why should they ask?
One thing I've noticed, particularly since I got into my early 20s was, and I tell brothers this all the time. I said, you know what? Check it out. Just watch and observe. You'll see white women checking black women out, but you seldom see black women checking white women out. She has to either be wearing something unusual or something about her that really attracts attention, unusual. Either she's wearing something bizarre or she may have something really sharp on. But she's got to do something extraordinary for black women to really check her out. But white women are always checking you out. They look at the corner of your eye. They look. No, they're not even discreet about it. They turn their big head and look right in your direction, look you up and down, and depending on how you look, that face will change. I've had white women bump into me. I've had white women mean mug me. I've had them just. One lady, as a matter of fact, on the train that I take. I don't know what's wrong with this. Oh, I almost said broad. I apologize, but that's the way I think of her, because she, for some strange reason, she likes to bump into me. And she's older than me, because I was so tempted, to say something to her. And then I said, I'm trying to be cool and everything, But then one time we were coming down the steps, we were coming off the platform, and we were on the sidewalk, and we're going in different directions. Some kind of way her big old purse makes contact with me. I said, I think this heifer just hit me with her purse. I don't know this lady, never talked to her. She just immediately saw me as a threat of some kind. And I'm sure you ladies have had that experience where white women have been inexplicably hostile for no reason. So for all this superiority, there's a tremendous amount of insecurity. I've never seen such insecure women in my life.
You're right about that, Pam. They have a very nasty habit, and they like to stare at you, and because they're so used to non-whites, not looking them in the face and looking away, and I'm one of those, I stare at people, you're going to have to be the first to look away. And that's how I look. You're going to look at me, because I can feel people looking at me, and I just turn and look at them, and they get red in the face, and they'll look away and get all flustered.
I generally ignore people. I just too much energy for me personally. I just think if I can ignore you, I'm like, you don't exist. I just can't get.
I ignore you, but I'm going to stare at you. If you're going to look at me, I'm going to turn and make it a point of looking at you to let you know I'm aware that you're looking at me, and you're going to just have to look the other way.
I hear you.
I heard a female.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. It sounded like I heard a female. She was trying to get a comment in. I wanted to get her, and I also wanted to. I just wanted to throw this out as I've heard the word used in this conversation. I would like to make a request that we codify language. I think that term relax supports the system of white supremacy. I know, at least for myself, I'm going to discontinue saying that word. It will be something that is more accurate as to what's being done to the hair. I think either damage or process, mutilate. It will not be relaxed anymore. And I would encourage. I'm sorry?
I was just going to say chemically mutilated. That's my term.
Yeah. I would recommend that other non-white people, that's one easy thing you can do. You can be a couch potato counter-racist. Just discontinue the use of the term relax.
Correct. Got you.
All right. Correct.
Is that Zanelli? If I'm pronouncing your name incorrect, please correct me.
Yeah, it's Zanella, but yes, that is
okay.
Zanella.
I'm
Zanella.
Zanella.
With you again. I enjoyed your program.
Yeah, but
it was very informative.
Thank you. I'm glad it was constructive. I just wanted to make a comment because actually, I was going to make this comment and then the white supremacists cut me off. But see, living in London, living in England, there's just like this huge epidemic of, black men rushing out to get white women and black women rushing out to get white men. And one thing that I've noticed a lot is because obviously I've got my natural hair, I love wearing it, out most of the time. And when I'm with my black partner who is dark-skinned and we look very nice together, obviously, what white supremacists usually don't like, whenever I spot a white woman, she almost, it's like, how can I describe it? It's like she's angry, and they look, and this has happened so many times, like these white women will just stare for like a really long time, and basically they're mad because they can see that you've got your black man there. He obviously loves the fact that you're keeping it 100% black in your image and, the way that you're presenting yourself, and so she knows that she doesn't have that access, and it's like, it's a real fury that gets, it's created within her, and you just see it, and they can't even hide it. Yeah. I often find, like when I'm touring or I'm just out doing whatever I'm doing, I often notice suddenly a white woman just like scoping my whole everything from my body to my hair, and it's like these white women are so insecure, it's unbelievable. They need, and I've come to understand, and a lot of black women don't get this, whenever your hair is chemically mutilated or you're wearing the weaves or whatever, you naturally make white women feel superior, and they're very comfortable, and they love being around black females like that because they know that you're trying to use them as a standard of beauty. But, when you're looking after yourself, and, obviously most black women are very attractive, and you put effort into yourself, and you're not trying to make yourself look white at all, and you're embracing everything that melanin has gifted you with, immediately you bring out that insecurity, and you really, you make her feel like how she naturally is. So I just wanted to share that because these women are very insecure.
I'm so glad that you said that because, it kind of confirms it because we're here in the U.S., I think most of us, and you're there, and it shows us a global thing. Yes. And I do think that is one of the key points of why they try to, how the white female is so critical in dividing and conquering the black male from the black female because she is what you would call an invader. And I think black women, we go through things with white women that black men don't know about. And so when we see them choose white women, we think it is like choosing our enemy because this female has been instrumental in the degradation of black women, particularly during slavery. And so, I think that's something that creates an extra edge of bitterness when we see black men with white females, because black men have a tendency, in my opinion, to see the white male as the problem. But the white female has always been our problem. So,
and just going back from what you're saying as well, it's like at my old job where I was working before, there was this white woman who, it was actually three of us, non-white female who was the manager, and she was like Asian, from Sri Lanka, and there was this white woman. And many times it's almost like white supremacists, all white people have this code where they're not supposed to let a black person, especially a black female when it's a white female, let them know how attractive they think she is. Many times, because, I love big hair. I hate flat hair, and I'll go to work and when my hair was growing, and I'd always wear it in an afro. I'd never do anything different. And I was the only black person who worked there, by the way, but I can mention that another time. And many times she would look at me. I'd just always catch her staring, and she would do this thing where she would like compliment me, like she'd be like, "Oh, your hair's really nice," or "Your hair's growing really well." And as soon as she would say that, it's like she would immediately have this look like, I shouldn't have said that to you. And obviously she's complimenting me, but then as soon as she says it, it's a truth that she couldn't obviously keep from coming out. But then it's almost like then she's telling herself, why did you say that for? Like, you're not supposed to say that. And that happened quite a few times, and I figured, okay, right, so these people aren't supposed to let you know that they actually think that you are attractive. They want to keep up the white lie of, the white woman is the standard, and, everyone is rushing out to bleach their skin and straighten their hair and all this other stuff. So, yeah, definitely.
Don't forget the butt implants, the breast implants, the lip implants, the curly perms, the skin tants, the brown babies, the black men, the brown men. I mean, come on. What is she telling us? I'm sorry, what's that?
You're right. They're good for giving backhanded compliments.
Oh, yeah.
That's what you have to call it. They're going to compliment you, and then they're going to take it back with an insult.
But I want to back up something that Zanella said. I've actually been out. I think I sent Gus an email about this. I've actually been out with my husband, who also has locks. We're both, darker complexioned with locks. And I've actually been out with him when, say in a bookstore situation when we've been separated, and I've seen white women, try to step up on him. Yes. And when I walk up on the scene, my God, it's like, no way. You can't possibly be wanting her over me. Wow. And it's so clear. The look is so clear. It's so obvious. It's it's a running joke with us now. We've been out to restaurants where, white people in general are looking at us like, okay, you all are not supposed to be together. Right. You're not supposed to want each other. What's going on here? There's something going against the programming here. It's quite interesting.
Let me ask you this: have you ever, any of you ladies, ever been with a black man and had the white woman come up to him while you're with him?
Yes, I have, and I've witnessed it happen to another couple. And the white woman blatantly said, told the black woman, if you're having trouble with your man, I'll take him.
Whoa.
And she sort of smiled, didn't she, when she said it?
Yep.
Like she was playing.
Oh.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
that has not happened.
I had to step in between.
Hadn't happened to me, but I wish it happened would.
Yep.
And see, that's the thing. You're trying to come out and be cool. You're trying not to, and it...
Not today.
Knocking her on her butt.
Not today.
No. Not knowing what I know now, I wouldn't tolerate it.
Here's the next interesting thing in terms of the whole cognitive dissonance with black women, that, one, you can't do anything with natural hair, and two, you're not supposed to be attractive with natural hair. I've had incidences with black women when I'm out with my husband where they're looking like, why do you have a man and I don't? I'm doing everything that they're telling me to do to be attractive. How is it that you, quote unquote, pickaninny, has a man and I don't? And I've gotten that, a lot. My daughter, one of our children, my daughter is a teenager, and she's never had her hair, straightened or terrorized. And when she goes to school, it's just the weirdest thing, because her schoolmates, they can't believe that she's never had her hair processed. They just refuse to believe it. And then they tell her, well, you can do all those things with it's just you. It's just you that's able to do all these different things with your natural hair. I wouldn't be able to do those same things. It wouldn't work for me.
It's just trying to
so
put
they did that denial. It's deep.
And to join the club of the process here, that's what they're trying to do. And to me, I find having my hair in a natural state, I can do so much more with it. For instance, you can walk outdoors in inclement weather. You can go to the gym. You can do different things with your hair that people who have their hair in a processed style they're all worried about messing up the hairstyle or getting their money's worth of the hairstyle, and they tend not to live a very healthy lifestyle when you have that on your head.
Yeah.
So
they don't learn how to swim.
Yes, you can do so
anything
much
with water.
Here.
Yeah.
You're not afraid of water. I was out and about, and it was raining, and everyone was scampering and looking for an umbrella, and I just walked right out and just walked to my car, opened my car, and got in. I said, you see, if y'all had this on, like I have on my head, you wouldn't have a problem. Oh, well, I can't afford to. I just had my hair done, and I'm trying to get my style to last. I said, whatever.
You know, this brother I know, he did a blog about black women going natural, and he's constantly praising, putting pictures up, and so a lot of the comments, I won't say he gets a lot of comments, but some of the comments from some of the black females are disbelief, like they don't believe he's sincere when he says that he prefers natural hair, and he has several brothers that co-sign on the blog, and they all say that they prefer black women with natural hair. You know, trying to put that out there that we want to support and validate it.
Something's really noisy. Can you check your line?
Oh, like someone has a voice sound that's clear now.
Yeah. But, you know, he finds a lot of resistance from black women who don't believe that he could possibly prefer black women with natural hair. I think there's a state of terror. I think black women, black females, black girls have been terrorized. And I think when you run into black women who are resistant against going to natural, it's like being like someone who's been frightened. And I hate to see people make fun of black women with the, you know, it's distressing to me, but I don't agree with making fun of them. I don't agree with putting them down. I don't agree with ridicule because they're already terrorized. And I think victimizing the victim. You know, we're victimizing the victim. There has to be a positive, nurturing way to try to encourage black women, because black women get beat up enough, and I'm not beating up any sisters. I go out of my way to avoid conflict with black women. Always have, because it's like fighting myself. You know, so
but what is so terrible is you're seeing these children are getting at younger and younger ages that are coming out with the process, like Gus have on the page with that young child in the chair with that perm all over her head. And it really hurts me when I see people doing that, because unfortunately for me, when I got a perm, I was 15 when I got a perm for the first time. And until I got older, and then when I cut it off and then I went back to my natural, but it was one of the most miserable times in my life, because now you're just basically, it's like an addict, like most people said, you're addicted to it, because as soon as you could feel that new growth coming in, you want to go back and you want to start covering it up and getting it back straight again. So, but because my niece is only 3, and my mother-in-law, and I see how she has the baby in the chair, and she's putting this hot comb through the child's head, and the baby is cringing. I told her, I said, you're giving this child a complex at this young age, because she started her off when she was 2. I said, you should not be putting that hot comb in her hair. Well, I'm just trying to make it lay down so that she'll be able to do something with it in the morning. I said she's going to sweat, and the hair is going to go back to its natural state. And the best thing that her mother can do for her is to get a squirt bottle from Sally's or any one of those beauty supplies, keep water and a brush, squirt the girl's hair, and just brush it and tie it with a rag, and the curls is going to lay in place.
But that wouldn't cure the mother's anxiety.
Right.
The issue is not the little girl. The issue is the mother's anxiety. And that's not going to help her.
But she's giving the child a complex, because you want to sit all day like my sister-in-law right now. She went to the lady to get her hair done, and she's been gone since 10 o'clock, and she's not back yet. So this is the whole day that she is wasted sitting in someone's shop to get her hair done, get a touch-up done to her hair. I said, you're going to start this child off at a young age with this complex about her hair, and there's something wrong with it, and it's abnormal, and you have to go and spend hours sitting in somebody's chair in order to get this hair fixed, as they say, as if it is broken.
Yeah. But I agree that it is for me it is a form of terrorism, and I agree. I think it was Pam who was saying I don't get into confrontation with black women that straighten their hair. I just ask them, certain questions, but I think the most that can be done now is, supporting, brothers like the one, the sister just talked about, and that those of us that do wear our hair natural, we do so and we do so, proudly, because most of the people, I'm looking at, again, my daughter's friends and schoolmates, they don't know any other way. They're saying, I wouldn't be able to do anything with natural hair, but how do you know? You've been having your hair permed since you were 3 or 4 years old. Mm-hmm. That's an assault that's happened to them and their moms before them. And so we have to be a little gentle in terms of how we deal with each other.
Absolutely.
It's a lot of time that you are wasting. If you think of the amount of time that you spend on your hair, because if you have a perm in your hair and you have to maintain your style every day when you get up, you have to be careful of getting water on it in the shower, in the bath, or whatever. Get out the tub, put the gel, whatever you have to do. At night, put a few rollers in to keep the curls fluffed up. And this ritual that you have to go through, and then at the end of the week, then you go and you spend about 6 hours sitting in somebody's shop, wasting a whole day for someone to start the process all over again, and then for you to continue on doing it. And the money, it's a waste of time. It is a lot of time that you're expending that you could be working on overthrowing this system that we're living under.
But if you've been watching Snow White and Rapunzel and whatever these things are from the time that you came out of the womb, you even as a small child, you're saying this is worth it in order to look like what I'm seeing on TV, what I'm seeing in these movies, what I'm seeing on these billboards. Don't
put the children into that position. You don't let them. I never had those Snow White and Rapunzel and Goldilocks, those type of books. I didn't have that as a child growing up. So it was never a problem with me in trying to identify with these type of things. But these children now that you have all of these parents, now they're going along with all of these Disney characters and watching the Toon Network and these things, and these children are sitting in front of the television watching these movies. Mm-hmm. And like I said, when my niece's birthday party was a couple of weekends ago, my sister-in-law wanted to have her. She said she wanted to have I believe it was a Snow White or something like that. But I blew off the handle. I said, she's not going to have no Snow White party. Wow. I went off. I said, no, I said, if she want to have a Disney character party, I said, there's the only black person in there is Princess Tiana, Mulan, Pocahontas. I said, pick one of the three that you want. But she's not going to do a Snow White. So I just took over the party myself, and I just made it a team party, all Princess Tiana. So I had to go out and get all the Tiana decoration, the tablecloth, the plates, the everything, and get it set up for her. And I told her, I said, you need to keep this because next year she wants to do it again. This is what she's going to be doing. Don't buy this girl any more white characters and tell her that this is what she's going to be doing for a party.
Well, I'm glad you intervened in the Snow White.
I wasn't going to put up for it because they know me. She just looked at me when she said, well, Hannah said she want to have this. I said, put Hannah on the phone. I said, what kind of party you want? Oh, I want to do a Snow White. I said, no. I said, you're going to do a Princess Tiana. Okay?
And is Tiana a princess?
This is the latest Disney, the Princess and the Frog character that came out.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Well, so I kept repeating it to her. I said, no, tell me now, what kind of party are you going to have? Princess Tiana. So I said, good. And then every couple of days I would ask her again. I said, what kind of party? Princess Tiana. So she had it in her head. I said, you need to tell her over and over she's going to be doing a Tiana party.
And you bring up a really good example of creating a sorority, the need for creating sorority for young women, for girls and young women, for females. Mm-hmm. And I think that, as I'm listening to all the speakers, I'm with Pam and everybody else about I do not want to be a part of any mistreatments or any kind of mistreatment to non-white females, black females specifically, particularly about their hair. Mm-hmm. But there has to be an alternative, supportive way that as young females come to any sort of awareness or just the decision to try wearing their hair natural. We are obsessed as a society with long hair.
Mm-hmm.
And I know this when my hair started falling out, being referred to as bald-headed. And yes, it was a fact, but I was thinking about young women and women whose hair doesn't grow. Mine was being, I had a medical condition going on, but the women whose hair, that they're forever going to be, they're genetically short-haired for whatever reasons, and to be called bald-headed and whispered about and laughed at, I think we have to come up with new ways, creative ways, and fresh ways of thinking about women who choose to not have hair and looking at them and what we say to encourage them. Mm-hmm. I also know that in between going from permed hair to natural hair, you got to cut all that stuff off, or it's going to break off. Mm-hmm. All that treated hair, that killed hair. And so once again, who wants to have short hair?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something in the black community and black males, particularly fathers, brothers, sons, and uncles, that when they have a female in their life, to remind them, assure them, and show them and support them and in how beautiful, and see them as beautiful, naturally becoming young women. Mm-hmm. And I think that we might see some changes starting to happen. And I just want to add this, that after going through a lot of medical appointments, for the last 4 years, and sitting in offices and treatments and going through treatments, I so often was the only non-white woman waiting to see a physician, mm-hmm. waiting to see a dentist, waiting for medical attention. And it made me think, where are black females going? Are they neglecting their health? Are they, if they've got a blonde wig on in the gynecologist's office getting their health care, mm-hmm. okay. But so often for so many years, I was the only non-white female. And I guess what I'm thinking, if we can give black women a break about how they look and really start focusing on that heart disease, mm-hmm. is that the number one killer of black women? Diabetes.
Stress.
Go ahead.
No, I said stress is the number one killer of black female.
Breast cancer.
And all of the forms. Yeah.
I go and get a mammogram every 6 months, and I've been the only non-white woman sitting in a waiting room full of white people getting mammograms.
I think it's all, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think it's all just part of the psychological condition of so many sisters. There's just so much stuff. They're afraid of getting one more piece of bad news. The whole life has been a journey of just ups and downs and disappointments and feeling inadequate. And I think that there's a lot of fear and avoidance. Black women. I never forget this brother I used to go to for colonics. And this was maybe about 7 years ago, when the last time I got a colonic from him. And he said, "Sister," he said, "what's going on with the sisters?" I said, "What do you mean?" And he said, "Well, I never in my life seen so many stressed out black women." He said, "They come into me and their hair is falling out." I didn't know what to tell them, because I just felt like, particularly in the last 10 years or 15 years, black women have found themselves in some very difficult situations regarding relationships, regarding men, his shortage of men, regarding the media, the way that the media has, to say Cynthia McKinney looks like a Brillo pad exploded, even if we know we don't look like Brillo pads that have exploded, it's like you're constantly being stabbed. And I think a lot of sisters avoid a lot of things, like their health and a whole lot of other issues, because their back is damn near broke. And unfortunately, a lot of times it comes out what we do to each other. And one thing that really has hit home is, if you keep telling me I'm nothing, it's going to reflect in the way I treat other black women.
Mm-hmm.
So when you see this gender war between black female on black female, what you're really looking at is, this is a person who has been convinced that they're nothing. And so now they are visiting that upon another sister. So I'm saying black women, in my opinion, are under the most amount of stress of anybody. We bury children, and often we bury them alone. If you look at these young kids dying, these young males dying, what you know is you know there's a broken mother someplace.
Yes.
So what I'm saying is, I understand the behavior. I exhibit some of it myself. And I'm just saying that's why I stay out of conflict with black women. I do not fuss and argue and fight with black women. I totally refuse. I am not going to be a part of that. But it also causes me to isolate myself when I see as a sister that can't be reasoned with, that has a lot of issues, a lot of dislike of other women. I don't know. I don't know what to do about it.
See, and unfortunately, that's this is what puts this thing of hair, in the forefront here, because this is just one thing. But when you're talking about stress, and disease that's caused by stress, when you're dealing with, okay, if I walk in there with, these locks or, some other natural style, I may not get this job that I need because, maybe my man is unemployed right now, and maybe I have 3 kids and no man that I have to feed. And so all of a sudden something that seemingly as simple as hair becomes very important.
Right.
And when you're going out into the world every day, and the very essence of what you are, the way that God made you, is a problem to these people that you have to deal with in terms of employers, shopkeepers, cops or whatever, then it becomes, of an important issue. Unfortunately, hair is political.
Yes,
and it's certainly political economically, for us. The amount of money, the amount of time, and again putting that psychosis on to our young girls. I saw a young girl out here the other day. She was about 5 years old and had a fake ponytail on. My goodness, if the child is trying to skip rope or whatever, and this thing falls off her head. Come on. This is. I understand in terms of the whole, breast cancer and the other, fibroids and all of this, but I'm saying the stress from this single thing, feeds into all of these other illnesses. I've heard, black women say how freeing it was when they were no longer spending the money that they were spending on their hair. This whole thing that it's so easy to manage. They were spending more time in the morning, trying to get those dues together, certainly than I was, because I don't spend any time. But, and it just adds to the stress that adds to the dis-ease.
Right.
Absolutely. So it's unfortunately it seems like it should be a trivial matter, but it's a critical matter because unfortunately it's something that feeds into how we represent ourselves, and so the fact that we feel like we have to alter ourselves like that, just to move around daily. Right. It's very distressing.
It has to come to a point in time where I'm gonna let you finish up 818. It has to come to a point in time where we have got to make a point and said we have to stop. We are talking about the amount of money that we are expending on hair and the products associated with hair. If we, as a community, would decide, okay, these Koreans have taken over the hair care business, or the Koreans and the Arabs. We're going to put them out of business. We are not going to patronize their stores. We're not going to buy anything because the simple products to use on natural hair is olive oil, olive oil, coconut oil, any one of those natural oils that you can get at any pharmacy and you can buy it, and water. Water is the biggest thing that we can use, and you can make your own hair spritz.
You know,
whatever.
I think
and you can put these people out of business. You can shut them down instead of going up into their shops. They don't want to hire you. They're disrespectful to you. But yet still you keep going up in there and buying their fake hair and all of this foolishness and getting treated like a criminal.
But I think that's secondary even to, I mean, if it's not them, if it's not the Arab, if it's not the Korean, it's going to be whoever, as long as we believe that that is the look that we need to have to function out here. You know, we got to get to that mindset in terms of these images that we're seeing, you know, that says this is what you need to look like in order to feel beautiful. I mean, you know, we're women like any other women.
Exactly.
You know, we want to feel beautiful. We want to feel wanted. We certainly want to feel wanted by our own men.
Exactly.
You know, so I mean,
it's
deeper than.
We can go from the bald head to the long hair. We can look good at any style that we choose to wear. So trying to tell yourself you have to have long hair, your hair has to be straight, it's idiotic, and we have got to stop telling our children starting from a young age. Because
we're able to say that from where we are now, but if these young girls are watching, you know, being allowed to watch BET and any of these things that's on TV now, that's not what they're seeing.
And
you know, you can't apply logic to it.
I control mine. My TV does not go on when they come. When my nieces and they come to my house, they're not watching any of those things. The first thing I did, like my nephews, they're on spring break and they were here for the week. I told them the first thing I told them on Sunday, I said, y'all are going to go to the library, get you a library card, get some books out, and do something for the week that you are going to be out, because apparently the Texas, they have their spring break all confused. They're out this week instead of normally the Easter week, like I remember we used to do it back in the day. You get out your 2 weeks during the time for Easter, but they're out this week.
Well, all I was going to say real quickly was, you know, we can look at it logically and say it doesn't make any sense, but that's not what you're dealing with. You're dealing with pure emotion. And, you know, it's like someone was saying, you know, women, we're still women. We still want to feel attractive. We still have the insecurities that we've grown up with all our life. So some kind of way it has to be made to feel good, to feel right. It's not enough just to come and say, hey, you know, this doesn't make sense. Wake up, snap out of it. That doesn't, in my opinion, that just won't work. You know, it's something that has to be rooted in an emotion also, not just
and
the brain.
The goal can't be to put someone out of business because that won't work. The goal has to be I'm doing this for myself, and the byproduct will be those businesses going out of business.
Right, right.
Miss
like you
Zanella?
said, somebody's going to do it. If nobody else does, somebody else will. Sorry.
Miss Zanella, did you have a...
Yeah. You know, I just wanted to throw in, I think the reason why hair is so important is, and I often say this, is I think it symbolizes actually, and I actually call it a crown of deception that black women literally place on their heads. And it's almost like when you wear this, you refuse to see the system of white supremacy and how it's working and how it's affecting everything that you're going through. I mean, you know, we've just been talking about health and, you know, economy and all. It's all connected. Like, you know, the way black women eat, you know, it's a direct response to racism, white supremacy. You know, if anyone is familiar with Dr. Lila Africa, you know, he, I'm sure other people say it too, but he will actually break down, like, the type of junk food you eat, what it means about you, and what you're trying to get from that junk food. And all of these things, anytime you see a black person trying to, you know, mask their pain as a direct result of racism, you know, through drugs, through alcohol, through food, you know, the reason our health is so messed up is because of white supremacy. And when you start looking at black women and their hair, once you're forced to look at why it is that you are chemically mutilating your hair, putting on these different hair pieces to look like Caucasians and what have you, then now you have to do something about it. It's like, so, which is why I think it's very difficult to even get a black female to admit that, how she's presenting herself is even linked to wanting to be white or, any type of white identification that she's got. And, it's, once you know the problem is there and once you become aware of it, you're now forced to do something. And I think the fear is just so overwhelming. We were left by ourselves, in the sense that our men were being killed and we were left to fend for the children, for everything. And there is a lot of fear that has been passed down through our DNA, and it's almost like a natural fear which is just there. So the hair is a lot more than just a hairstyle or, any other excuse that I'm sure we've all heard from black females who will say this is why I prefer it. It actually symbolizes, I think, in my opinion, them not wanting to have anything to do with race and white supremacy. Because once you do that, you're now going to be forced to react. You can't keep on doing what you've been doing forever. You're now, you're going to have to change a lot of things about you, how you interact with people, how you even see the fact that you don't have a man, or, very simple things. Because once you understand white supremacy, it's not that you don't get disappointed, but you always know who's to blame. And, it kind of lifts, takes away a lot of that pressure of self-hatred. And, so that's what I think hair really represents with black women. Yeah.
Can I ask a question really quick? I just want to throw it out while we have time left. Does it compromise your effort to combat white supremacy if you have chemically mutilated hair?
I would say 100% yes. It's almost a contradiction because no matter what you're saying and no matter how articulate you may appear to be, you're still very confused, because if you can't embrace yourself and yet you're talking about white supremacy or whatever else you think you're talking about, there's a contradiction there. You can't let white people dictate to you how you need to present yourself and what beauty is supposed to be to you, and while you still think, you're against it somehow. I think it's a contradiction. The two don't go, according to me. That's what I think.
I think that it does, but I think that it's not necessarily a conscious thing, because a lot of women that are doing it, this is something that was done to them from early on, and it has always been being done to them, and they never really stop to think about why they do it, why they continue to do it. They've never really even thought about that, and they're not thinking that, by presenting yourself, particularly in the presence of white females this way, that you're feeding into their sense of superiority. They're not even thinking that way, but it's very interesting because I have heard black women who have considered, quote-unquote, going natural, consider what the reaction of the white people on their job would be. Mm-hmm. So now we're back to that whole thing of making white people feel comfortable. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, I have to go through that one, Gus.
Sorry. There is a flip side to this, too. I don't think hair, I think it can be a contradiction, but I've also seen quite a few dreadlocked, locked, natural-wearing black males and females who are very white identified.
Absolutely.
So I'm saying, I don't think, I think it's a mistake just to judge. I think you can straighten your hair if that's your choice. I really would love to see everybody natural, but I know that doesn't necessarily dictate the level of understanding in your head. And I think that it's a mistake to think because a person has their hair natural that they are a conscious person, or that they don't have their hair. And I think that there are extremes, however, like if you see a person in a long blonde weave, I think it's a pretty sure bet that they probably need to be a little bit more less confused. It's a sure bet that they're confused. But I don't think a person, say they're wearing their own hair and their hair happens to be straightened, I don't think that's necessarily proof that they are that they're clueless, or proof that they're confused. But I think the less confused you get, the more tendency you have to have a problem with your hair being altered. You know,
well, there was a young woman on the show, Gus, who was not confused, and I'm forgetting her name, but the image of her, she had a very straight wig or a straight weave on, and a T-shirt with an image of white Jesus that said white power.
Aisha Sekhmet. Sekhmet.
Yeah, and she was not confused.
Oh, I remember her.
So, you know, and I'm like, I learned a lot listening to that show, and initially, when I first saw the image of her, I was like, what's up? And when I heard what she had to say, I had to rethink it all. So, which is a good thing. And so I am not willing to just write black women off as being not credible because of how on any certain day they choose to wear their hair.
Well, can I just rewind for? I just want to make sure that I heard this correctly. Under the existence of white supremacy, there is a non-white person that is not confused. Did I hear that correctly?
No.
Okay. I thought you said she was not confused. You didn't say she was not confused.
Oh, I did say that she was not confused, but in listening to her, she was very clear about the system of racism, white supremacy.
Okay. So that would be one. That would be one non-white person under the system of white supremacy, at least one that is not confused.
I'll just like a minute to I was just going to say, I just want to clarify what I meant. I am in no way saying that having natural hair means that you're not somehow white identified or something like that. Come to London, you will see tons and tons of natural women, and a lot of them do it and they keep this image because it makes their white partner feel good and all this other kind of stuff. But you're supposed to be natural. Once you're natural, move on. It's not really supposed to be a big deal. But what I am trying to say is, once you start to see how white supremacy has made you see yourself, and I'm not saying that you can't have, obviously degrees of understanding of whatever it is. No one knows everything. But what I'm trying to say is there is still that white identification there, which is probably very deeply rooted, within your own psyche that you still haven't been able to let go of. I'm not saying that, you're not going to have anything worthwhile to say, but if you understand white supremacy and what white supremacists want you to feel about yourself, then you're going to be forced and think, well, how come this is my image? Every single black woman who is alive today knows that her hair does not grow straight. That's simply what I'm trying to say. And, okay, you can be natural and as confused as ever, but once you start to understand what white supremacists want you to think about yourself, I think it's somewhat of a contradiction to still have straight hair, because it's still like... To me, it's basic. I'm not saying your hair shows who you are, but white supremacists want you to hate yourself. That's like one very clear thing that they want you to do. And a lot of things is you putting down anything about yourself and exalting them, including the image of the white woman. So to me, that's kind of like a basic thing to understand. And that's just what I meant there. There are many, many confused women who are natural. You see them all the time. Okay, so that's just an image. You see the dashiki wearing, Africa talking, all kind of things. They've got their white wife, white husband, whatever it is. So we know that the confusion is there. I just wanted to clear that up.
And I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think that if you really start to understand white supremacy, the hair on your head becomes part of your politics also. And so I do think, that it become. Have you ever wondered when you've seen a sister with a really, I don't want to be derogatory, really outrageous weave? I wonder sometimes when they look in the mirror, what are they thinking? Are they of body dysmorphia or something?
I think it's so funny that you just said that, because like how you have
MK Ultra subjects, people who are subject to mind control, many times, voice activation, sometimes it will be a color, it will be a smell, it will be a sound, something that will activate the programming, the control that they have been put under. And I think when you see things like that, I don't even think that female is even seeing herself. Right. I think she's seeing probably the white woman who she's copying that look of, and body dysmorphia syndrome, I guess, like what you just said. But I think it's really what you put on your head is that that's what is physically covering your mind. So you can't have a helmet that's made of ice cream. It's got to be hard, and your head to me symbolizes that as well. But I think it's just it helps to reinforce the white supremacist programming, right. and that's an activation. That's how I see it.
And how I agree. Go ahead. Because when you see people, especially so-called black activists, as Pam has said on numerous occasions on this show, you see so-called black activists, and yet still they're involved in a relationship with white women or with white men, and yet they're supposed to be representing the black community, or they're going out. For instance, like Harry Belafonte and Danny Glover that went to South Africa to bring back Aristide, the deposed president of Haiti. And they're supposed to be so pro-black, so pro-whatever, and yet they're all involved in a relationship with white women. They're married to white women. So how pro-black can you be?
They need that soothing lotion.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. This is Nanny.
Hello, Nanny.
And I'd like to relate two stories that occurred today. One is my neighbor's daughter. She's 8 years old, and I usually stop and talk to the young girls outside. And she had her hair in one of those supermarket plastic bags. So I asked her, I said, well, what's going on with your hair? She said, well, I'm doing a hot oil. My mother's doing a hot oil treatment. And I said, well, what is she going to do when it's done? And it's like 82, 83 degrees here, hot. And she said, well, she's going to straighten it. So I got in my car and drove away. I didn't say anything else. And then when I got to the supermarket, there was a lesbian couple in line ahead of me. And the female, I'm assuming, the person that takes the female role, she had on a sundress. She had a lot of tattoos. But her hair was straightened. And the female that had the male role, she had her hair closely cut, natural, but then she had dreadlocks going down the center of it. And she was tattooed from head to toe. And I didn't know I didn't even know how to react within my own head. And I was
these
just
non-white black female?
Yes. But I really thought about this child having to go through all of that treatment. She couldn't even play outside with a plastic store supermarket bag on her head. I was just appalled, really.
Yeah.
I would like to ask one question as well. Was there any constructive information gained by watching Chris Rock's Good Hair? Did anyone learn anything from that movie?
No.
I think that film was junk.
So do I.
Absolute junk. And in fact, it was maintaining white supremacy. Put yourself in the position of a white person watching that film, and you're going to leave there laughing at black women.
And you know what?
Ridiculous. Nothing.
Go open up a beauty supply store. Black women will be coming in.
Well, I learned something from it, and what it was, the medical part of it, when he spoke with the scientist. And I thought that information was relevant and very, very important in order to understand what chemicals can do to the hair, your body. So that was the one thing that I got out of the documentary.
But unfortunately,
and I also, pardon?
I'm sorry.
I also won a black female pharmacist, and there's a number of them where I go at Walgreens, and I'm friendly with them. All of them have chemically treated hair, and they should know that the chemicals aren't good for them.
See, that's the whole problem, though, is this is an emotional issue. Right. And even though Chris Rock presented some quote-unquote statistics, to me, I look at those documentaries of that type, as soon as I see them on major mainstream television, I know they're promoting white supremacy in some way. As soon as I see them on Oprah, I know that it's not to help black people. And my thing is this, if you're going to talk about my hair, if you're going to talk about black women, then damn it, talk about the reason why we're that way. If you don't talk about white supremacy when you're putting me on the hot seat, I don't want to hear it. If you're not going to talk about all the people with hair issues, including black males, including the black male who was on there, who I think is white, wears her hair straightened, you know? So doesn't his wife wear her hair straightened?
Hello?
Chris Rock? Yeah.
Hello. I don't think his wife is black either.
Hello?
I can return to the...
Hello? Sorry. If I could return to the question... If I could return to the question of what effect straightening or mutilating one's hair, because if your hair is already straightened, obviously straight naturally, it's not mutilating it. But if you are mutilating it to make it look straight, or really mutilating your appearance by putting what appears to me sometimes to be almost a Muppet wig, I went and picked up my attempted mother-in-law, who had been in the hospital for some time. And she had her hair in little tiny braids, what have you. This is sort of an aside. But when she was released, they brought her down in a wheelchair, and she got in the car, and she had this long, straightened red type curled wig. And I couldn't, and then I was sitting in the back so she could get in the front. And if she moved her head, it really, I'm not making fun of, but I mean, I think, I'm not sure that black females actually know what they look like when they do that. I don't know that they look because what it brought to mind for me was a Jim Henson Sesame Street Muppet as she was moving her head around. Right. And, of course, I didn't want to think that, but it was unbecoming, it was unbefitting, it wasn't, she's much more of a regal person than to have subjected herself to that. Okay, so if I could just finish this one point. And so I guess getting back to the point of does it in any way hamper your effort to counter racism? I think it does. And the reason that I think it does is because if you think it's your place to mutilate your head or your scalp and your hair, what else is it your place to do? What are you going to second-guess yourself about? What are you going to be less assertive of? I think that maybe to a lesser extent and maybe not to a lesser extent, it's kind of the same thing that being married to a white person is. It's kind of the same thing as having a parent as a white person. It kind of pulls you back because it makes you wonder if maybe it isn't the natural order of things, even if you don't say that to yourself. And if it doesn't say that to you, it sure might say that to a person who's looking at you.
All right. And you know what? Along what you were saying about like how women or that particular woman didn't know how she looked. I feel like that most people, they have like a pseudo identity. And that pseudo-identity is what we all, or what most people have to put on to be in society, And along with black women, like with clothing, I feel like particular clothing have a certain type of consciousness with it, as far as like as how they want to look and how and with the attention that they want to get, and with the clothing that they put on, a lot of the time, it attracts certain types of hair that they would like to wear with certain clothing because that's what's calling and, like that's just what's in the air when what I'm saying, when women pick out clothing. Like, oh, I want to look like this certain type of image and I know this type of hair will go with this outfit,
I'm hearing some background noise. I just wanted to make a general comment because there are a lot of people on the line. It would be very helpful if you could mute your line if you are not actually speaking, and then just unmute when you want to talk because we do pick up all the noise. If you drop a pencil or anything, we pick up all that extra sound. So just to maintain the quality of the program. I also want to wave to Cree, Counter-Racist Evolving Engineer. I think I recognize the voice. Good to hear Investor in the program. Good to hear her voice on the line. And I also wanted to give a quick clip from Good Hair, and then I'm going to mute my line again. Before I play the clip, we have 8 minutes left in the live stream, so if you think you want to continue to listen or you might want to talk, you should dial in soon. The number is 347-215-6071. You should dial in soon. There are 8 minutes left. I'm going to mute my line, so I'm just going to play the clip and mute my line. The clip is very quick, but I think it captures the spirit of Good Hair by the victim of white supremacy, Chris Rock.
Has anybody ever tried to steal your hair?
No, not yet.
If you see some black women, just run the other way.
Okay.
Now this.
Hello.
Yep, we're good.
Oh, okay.
I'm here. I was just.
Yeah, I don't think there was any redeeming quality to that movie. One of the things that I walked away not appreciating was the fact that he didn't have any black women with natural hair, in the movie who was able to speak positively and about her hair. Excuse me. But in terms of the consciousness of the person that straightens their hair, I mean I agree with what's been said, but I still, I'm very cautious about, in any way being confrontational with those women, with those sisters, in terms of, the fact that you straighten your hair means that you're not conscious or you're feeding into the system, which is true. You are feeding into the system, but it's not a conscious effort on their part, and so that's why I tend to, cut that slack. And then it's, again, when your very person, when your esteem is being attacked by everything that's going on around you, it's, I just think we need to have a little bit more patience, certainly with black females, amongst ourselves and, our men with us. Because, I mean, for instance, for one thing, you can tell her certain things about her hair, but when you're looking at a black guy with, a fat, pimply face white chick but she has this, stringy hair, and you're telling this black chick, but don't do that to your hair. Exactly. You know what I mean? It's a little difficult. It's a little difficult. And I just feel like sometimes black women are being asked to deal with regular female situations that other females in other ethnicities are not asked to deal with in a very, stoic and conscious way. Because, I mean, even if you look at, say, white women, we have this idea, if we have this idea that just because it's long, it looks good, they have this idea that just because you're thin or skinny, it looks good. And we know that that's not true. But you can't tell them that. They think if they lose weight and become thin that they automatically look good. Well, there's a lot of thin people or skinny chicks that don't look good.
They don't look good. And
but you can't tell them that if that is what, the dominant culture is telling them.
But I think that's the opportunity that Pam was talking about in terms of how emotionally, it's not a but, it's an and, how do we create emotional space for black females to wear their hair as, their mother and father and their creator gave them. And, maybe this is not what I'm about to suggest is negative compensation, but it might work for us. Because on the whole, in general, on average, a black female of any size is going to be firmer and more muscular and have a better shape than a white female. The same amount of exercise for a black female will yield so many more returns than it will for pretty much any other type of female. And so it's sort of like I know that this is what I did, and I'm a little embarrassed to say it, but I remember even just when I wanted to cut off my locks, which were down to my butt, but I didn't want to wear them. I didn't want to do that anymore. I wanted to wear something different. But everybody kept telling me not to do it because we're so into length. And so then everyone said, well, when you lose that 10 pounds, then you should cut them off. When you lose that 10 pounds. And that was in my head too. And so I got very physically fit. And for me, that compensated for having the shorter hair. For me, that I knew that the head was going to be turning on me because I had a very fit, curvaceous body, that then I could, then what was on my head seemed more acceptable. And so as a whole, as black women reversed the trend and became fit and more physically in terms of our body than all the other women, and it won't be that hard, then what's on our head, I think, might look more attractive to everybody because it will look like the package. And that's just what I'm putting forward as possibly a compensatory suggestion.
And it would make you have better self-esteem and feel better about yourself, and you're healthier too. So that would increase your confidence on a whole nother level. So I agree. I just think it's hard for you.
Sorry, I missed the piece there. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're not suggesting that the majority of black women with natural hair are, fat or out of shape or otherwise physically unattractive.
What I am suggesting is that black women as a whole are less fit, that we do have more fat tissue based upon probably the cortisol releases and also the not exercising as much because of the fear they had, but mostly the stress, that we do in general have more fat on our bodies than most other women, and we could reverse that because we actually have a gift. We have a gift given to us by nature that we're just generally, I think, more firm and better shaped, but it just is going to require more effort to getting out there and getting more exercise. And then we can turn it into an asset rather than a problem.
Mm-hmm. So I'd like to, this is Nanny again, interject that this hair issue crosses the gender line. Here in the South, men say 50 years and older, they're still doing the jerry curls. And I can remember James Brown when he died. One of his daughters was on CNN, and she said her father used to take them to the beach all the time, but he would never get into the water because he didn't want to get his hair messed up. Mm-hmm. I remember Al Sharpton saying that James Brown was responsible for him straightening his hair, and I just find that so crazy, and I can't understand why these men in the South still put the jerry curls in their hair. I don't understand that.
Racism, white supremacy. There are two black males on the line. There are two black males on the line. They might have a comment. I wasn't trying to be snide. I was trying to be honest. I think that's what it is.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. My observation, the reason why they wear those perms and jerry curls. I'm from Washington D.C. and I grew up on the East Coast, so most of that stuff is mostly for pimps and players who use that type of hairstyle to attract women into prostitution. So most of that stuff is mostly for those type of things that they wear the jerry curls and the processes are for. That's part of the game of pimping. So that's the reason why they wear the mink coats, the manicure nails. It's all about attracting the women.
Everybody that called in, your line is open. The three other people, or everybody that put a hand up, I'll say, your line is open.
So that's why the jerry curl is popular. Most of the times, is what I've seen is pimps and with that type of hairstyle.
So does that have anything to do with the Jesus, the Jesus image?
Well, it does. It's like I was reading what Ice-T said. He said at the end of the night, he said at the end of the day, I want to control your thoughts, and the base way you control a man's thoughts is through sex. So he was saying that when he was younger, in his neighborhood, he had a lot of pimps and prostitutes, and he looked at the dude's hair and said, "Man, I want my hair to look like that. I want to have the same type of hair that makes him get all the women." So you grow up and you think that that's the way you should do.
Well, Gus, you forgot to do your cowbell thing when IC name came up because
I got his wife on my front page, man. I shouldn't even have to ring on that one. I got his wife on the front page.
Coco?
Well, let know how identified this he is. IC is no role model for anyone.
A white girl named Coco.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even catch that.
That's why I told Miss Cowbell should be ringing off the
hook.
Well, there is white chocolate.
Coco.
I think they call her. I think the nickname is called a Woody.
Yeah, a white woman with a booty.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Well, we don't know it was.
But those were implants, though. those were implants. Like there's a lot of white women now who are doing almost the whole body. I mean, first it was the lips, the big Jagger lips. They wanted bigger lips. Then they wanted fuller breast sizes, and now they got the butt too. Now they have those shots, and they have a whole bunch of things that they're just injecting into the bodies. Lots of money just at the doctor's office, altering their bodies. And for black women, all they're concerned about is their hair.
They'll want the bigger thighs too, because big thighs is a thing that come with most. We are more muscular in the thigh area. So that's going to be another business for doctors to get into, to get the shots to plump up the thighs.
Well, the only thing I disagree with is the Mick Jagger lips. I think quite honestly, they're not competing with Mick Jagger. They're competing with us.
That's true.
Yeah.
Don't forget the tanning beds and boots.
Yeah. And the curly perms.
I read recently, I think in the last couple of days, that one of those women, I never really watched the program, Housewives of Atlanta or something. It's a group of black women. And I think the one that's called Nene, I don't know. But anyway, she confessed to one of these media outlets that she had a lot of cosmetic surgery.
You can look at her
nose, liposuction.
She had the breast implants. Remember, it was in the news, her soon-to-be ex-husband was saying he paid for those breasts that she was carrying around, and he wanted his money back.
But she did admit in the article that in order for her to play where she wants to play, she has to have her body, her look in order. So I'm assuming where she wants to play is the rich and the famous.
Well, she's on the show with Donald Trump now. And Star Jones.
Apprentice. But Nene, she used to work in the strip club. She used to work on the poles. That's where she started in Atlanta.
Who is this?
I didn't know that. Not that
this
I care.
This is Coco?
But,
No, this is Coco Nene, the black female on Real Housewives of Atlanta, the one that's loud and obnoxious.
Yeah.
But going back to the Coco Kardashian thing, look at the cruel game that's being played on black women because, on the one hand you're saying when black women get, these hair extensions and weaves and what have you, you have the black man saying, well, hell, I can go for the real thing, rather than deal with, this thread and these pieces and this glue and whatever, I'll just go for the real thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have when these white women get these butt implants and lip implants, that's not a problem. He's not saying, well, okay, those that go for that. I'm not making a general statement because, but those that go for that, that's not what they're saying to them.
The standard
well, if you're going to get this thing, if you're going to get a fake butt and fake lips, well, then I might as well go for the real thing. So how is it that that's not translating the way the hair thing does?
Sure. Supremacy. The white woman is supreme no matter what she does in a system of white supremacy.
There you go.
Well, I wanted to
But, I also think it's
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, England.
Oh,
Go ahead.
I was just going to add to that point to just say, well, in response to white women getting butt implants and stuff like that, I think the reason why a lot of black men will not say I'll go for the original thing because it's almost like an upgraded black woman. So you have all of the beautiful gifts that a black woman has got, but then you've got the white skin, you've got the real long hair. So I don't think it will translate the same as the hair because it's like an upgrade of a black woman. So that's how I see it.
Oh yeah, they talking about breast orange. It turned from like, you know what I'm saying, your hair, like a psychological thing with your hair to like everything else that we do.
So even my parents a long time ago used to say that when they were in high school, people used to say you have to worry about the genes. The black kids used to say that you have to worry about the genes, so that you're not really worried about whether or not in a system of white supremacy, people aren't worried about whether or not their children have their female children have full curvaceous bodies, but what they are worried about is that they have lighter skin and straighter hair.
Mm-hmm.
There was a supposedly conscious black man that stated on Blog Talk Radio that black folks should not be wasting time discussing hair. What do you think about that statement?
I think they're saying that because they're uncomfortable discussing it because they don't want it to change. It's too uncomfortable. It's too uncomfortable to face the change inside. So people either don't want to talk about it or they want to as soon as they can, dismiss the importance of it by saying, but overall, we love all our sisters. Short hair, long hair, brown, black. That's not even the point. But it's to continue to allow them to have space to exercise their brain trashed preference. They don't want to be forced to change.
Yeah, I agree.
don't understand how hair became such. I do in the system of white supremacy. I can see how insecure anyone can get under the system about their looks, but in particularly about black women's hair. Being 29 years old and being a black male, I've talked to a lot of black females, but never have I, judged or anyone I know judged a woman based on their hair and say, well, I'm not going to talk to this black female because her hair doesn't look the way, this does or anything like that. I've never done that. I've never seen anyone being judged on that. I've seen just women talk about women's hair and then talk about their own hair, or, we may compliment it, but we don't judge by it. We don't look at a girl or a woman from a few feet or across the room and say, oh, well, that hair's just got to go. Can't talk to her because of her hair. I guess it's more complex than just hair. I don't mind what your hair looks like because you can always change your hair. You can change your hair the next hour, the next day. So for me, as a black male, the hair is never an issue. It's only how you treat yourself and how you treat other people.
I'd like to comment on that. I feel the same way. I'm any black male does not pay attention to black women's hair. I think that's just a black woman's. I think that's black women and black women commenting on other black women's hair. I've never seen a male that I've grew up and said, "Ooh, she got a big butt, but look at her hair." No, that doesn't work. No, that doesn't.
It doesn't work that way.
Sorry.
No, you know what?
Sorry. We would not all be on this line if you guys were a representative example.
Right.
We are not crazy.
Sure.
Well, what man do you know has left you or ended a relationship on your hair?
20.
I haven't
going to tell you.
No.
I'm not going to tell you because of your hair.
I can't. I love you, but I can't handle your hair.
Too many people.
I'm not going to say that they've left me, but I can definitely say that I didn't get that date because of that. I've had black men tell me they had to really think about it a long time. Oh, your face is so pretty and you have such a nice figure. But I really had to work with myself. I had to get it straight. I had to really deal with myself because I'm not used to dating women with hair like that. I'm used to dating women with long hair, the long pretty hair, and the light eyes. Come on now. Mm-hmm. I'm not crazy. Neither are the rest of these females on this call.
Let me ask you this. Now, are you telling me that there just happens to be a coincidence or an accident that all of these long-haired girls through grammar school, through high school, through college, through the entertainment, the famous black men, the men with... Are you telling me that it's just an accident that the long-haired girls got the most attention? That's just a coincidence?
Yes.
Not a coincidence. I wouldn't say a coincidence as to... but if you look at all these women, it's not they got the men because of the hair either. I mean,
yes, some have. Some
more
have.
complex.
I'm sorry,
I mean,
some
it's more
have.
complex.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but this. But,
I would have to disagree with most of you on the women that's on here, because I've never looked at a woman's hair and said, "Oh, I'm gonna date her because she got long hair." I'm a 6'3", highly mutilated black male, and the reason why I say that is because I've even myself, being as dark complected as I have, I've even gotten dates from other dark-skinned women or even light-skinned women who wouldn't even date me in high school. So I'm just saying, coming from that perspective, I've never seen the guys I grew up with, we never looked at and said, "Ooh, wow, she has a nice shape. But look at her hair." I've never, in my years of playing, trying out for football, basketball, or any type of sport, that we all looked at, you know what? I would talk to her, but her hair's messed up. No, I've never heard that.
Let me ask you this.
Can I be heard? Never.
Okay, go ahead.
Never. But 909, we can hear you. We haven't heard from you yet, so 909. Mr. Nero, your line is also open, and I felt compelled to comment just because I've been close to enough black females in my life I feel compelled to have to say I do not agree with the black males at all. I know black females who have stopped perming their hair, and strangers, black males, black people that they didn't even know, would stop them on the street and be like, "Oh my Lord, what did you do to your hair?" It became a major issue to strangers, absolute strangers. So I know that has to have an impact on who, how selections get made for who you go to the bedroom with and sex. Mm-hmm. It is a gargantuan issue. I do not agree with them at all. And I think anyone who says that, they are probably confused and or just not being honest, I think, as Cree stated, about how big of an issue this is. Even if you just look at good hair, you have black males who are kind of making statements that seem like they are ridiculing or admonishing black females for perming their hair. One of them was Al Sharpton, and the other was Ice-T. And no comment was made about that at all. No commentary. Wait a minute, this seems a little like nothing.
And Chris Rock himself is processing his hair.
Mm-hmm. Maybe we should have a show about black men and their hair issues. And let them talk, because part of the problem with black women, is the women with long hair, straight hair, get the most validation. You brothers can deny it, but we've all seen it. I've seen brothers I've seen brothers with women that had faces like a frying pan, but if they had long hair or straight hair, and we've all seen brothers with these long-haired girls, and they act like they're special because of her hair. Sometimes that's the only thing that she may have that caught his eye. So black men are very, very, very much hung up on hair.
But that's
very much hung up on hair. I totally disagree with that.
Hang on a second, Mr. Hill. Hang on a second, Mr. Hill. 909, are you there? And Mr. Nero, your line is open, so when he gets finished, feel free.
Can I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you basically made my point. I was just going to say, growing up, I can't count how many times I've heard black males comment about a black female's hair. So it just seems kind of a moot point. I don't know, but I guess it seems to me that it's a given. I've heard countless comments, good, bad, on black females' hair. So that's like a bit foreign to me to hear. I don't know. It's no big deal, but yeah, I just wanted to say that I heard countless comments, and I've made comments, and I love hair, black females' hair, short hair, curly hair. I definitely was attracted to females, and not the hair wasn't the only thing, but that definitely caught my eye. Sometimes it was short though. I remember this one girl. She had a short cut it, and I just admired it. It was her hair that caught my eye. So that's all.
Mr. Nero, before you get your comment in, man, the gentleman who called in at 3193, and you were one of the ones that was saying that you don't think this hair thing is a problem. You have been in a sexual relationship with a white woman, haven't you?
Yeah, but I never said it wasn't.
Okay. Wait a minute. That's all I needed. Yes or no? Thank you. You said yes. You all can decide for yourself if you think that's relevant. Mr. Nero, go ahead.
Greetings. Can I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Wonderful. First, it's a pleasure to hear Cree on the line. I'm glad you're with us, Cree. Been a very informative show. Unfortunately, when I heard that term, that the black male said that hair wasn't an issue, all I heard was a Scud missile being launched, because I knew that was going to kick us off right there against one another. I could not disagree more with that comment, because I've been hearing references to our hair ever since I can remember, male and female. So it's so deeply ingrained in us that for some it may even just be subconscious that they trip off of hair. So, but I just couldn't disagree more with that statement. And I didn't know I thought my line was already open, so I was saying, hey, white flag, I'm waving the white flag. You know what I mean? Please. Don't fire back. You know what I mean?
Okay, did anyone hear what I said, or are we all taking my words out of context?
Nope.
And if I was you, I would remain silent.
No, we heard you.
We heard you.
Absolutely.
All I said is that black men, or I as a black man, have not judged anyone solely on their hair. That's all I said. Everybody disagrees, or what? I mean,
black crime. This is LBM. I'd like to throw something else into the mix. My daughter, who's a teenager, she's actually she shades lighter than her father and I. So she's, I guess, what they call caramel or whatever. And again, this whole thing with her having never straightened her hair, her friends at school, male and female, have told her, well, you can get away with that because you're light.
Hello?
So in other words, they're saying if she was of a darker complexion, she wouldn't be able to get away with the natural hair. So that's another thing that I have observed, even amongst the adults.
May I make a comment?
That God forbid you should be dark and with this quote unquote nappy hair. Mm-hmm. So it's there's a lot of issues going on here. Yeah. A lot of issues going on here.
May I make a comment?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead. I can hear you.
Okay. But that, like I said, back to the point I made, that usually the girls who have the longest hair are either light or caramel complected. So hair and skin tone usually go hand in hand. So if you might have a woman who's light complected with long hair, and usually they associate with dark complected with short hair or quote unquote unmanageable hair or nappy hair. So when you say the girls with the long hair, they're mostly light-skinned women. That's just my observation of the situation.
I don't think that's that.
Yeah. There's some truth to that, but it's also, I've seen cases where if the girl is brown skinned, if she's got long straight hair, she gets major brownie points. So I agree with you that long hair typically does go with certain complexions, for the most part, very long hair. But I've seen it where it's a big brownie point if she has it and she's not light skinned.
Well, are the callers what are the complexions of the callers of the show, and how do you? Yeah, I'd like to know.
Jamaican, dark complected, maybe a little bit lighter than a Hershey's bar.
This is Annie. I'm brown and kind of reddish, and I'm from Creole country, Louisiana.
Oh, okay.
Oh, this is 404. I would say I'm brown.
This is Pam. I'm light brown.
This is Cree. I'm just brown. I mean, I don't know what that means. I mean, I'm not light-skinned. I've never considered myself light-skinned. I've never considered myself dark-skinned. Nobody's ever called me light-skinned. That's not true, actually.
Yeah.
I actually have been called bright-skinned and light-skinned, but not generally, but I've never been called dark-skinned. So, I don't know. I'm just brown.
Yeah.
Okay, just brown.
Yeah.
I reference. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I've been called light skinned, but I don't agree. I think I'm just brown, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would just like to say though, when my hair was chemically mutilated, it was very long, and the brownie points, Pam, that you're talking about, I definitely do agree with that, because people used to stop me in the street and, oh my gosh, is that your hair, and running their hands to it and all this kind of, irrelevant stuff, which serves no purpose. So you do see that a lot.
I remember when I had an afro back in college days, and it was fairly big, and you'd get compliments because it was big. And if it was a shorter afro, you wouldn't get as many compliments, but you got it if you had somewhat long hair.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something we're just making up. I mean, I wish it was our imaginations. Then we could just work on getting it out of our heads. But it's not in our heads. It's a reality.
Right.
And if it wasn't a reality, so many women wouldn't be traumatized by it.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this about the big afros.
I have another. Sorry.
About the big afros.
Hello?
Hello? Hello? Hello? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you seem like you disappeared for a minute.
Oh, no. Okay. Back to the big afros. It seemed to me that it wasn't so much about how far the hair was out from the head. It seemed like it was about, really even about that, it was about the texture of the hair. It was like looking at the roots of the hair.
Yes, you're right.
Uh-huh. This person had good hair.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they had an afro, you're right, it was the texture of the hair was a kind of sort of good hair, and that seemed to be another brownie point. Here's a big deal with guys. Come on. It's
I would just like to it's a bigger deal with the women, and I think the men follow suit.
I don't know.
Well, I think what it is that the men are affected by the same thing that we're affected by. They're looking at the same images that we're looking at in terms of what is beautiful.
That's
so
right.
if they're looking at these chicks on whatever is on now, 90210 or whatever the things that are on now, Twilight, whatever is on now, if they're looking at those images just like we're looking at those images. Right. So to say that they're not affected by those images as we're affected by those images is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think we're affected.
But I think what makes it worse is
Go on, Zanoli.
I just wanted to say, I think, yes, the men are looking at the same images as well, but it doesn't help when black women keep on, chemically mutilating their hair and adding the hair pieces or whatever, because we are telling them, for me to be beautiful, I have to look like that, and then they get that idea in their heads. So instead of helping them to understand that the reason why they're being attracted to these images is because they've been literally trained to see their black woman as not being beautiful, and helping to, make the link between white supremacy and how they're seeing themselves in their woman, we're kind of pushing them towards that more.
I agree.
Yeah, it's kind of
they're not helping.
We reinforce kind of the whole thing.
We do.
Yeah. So nobody should
be
pointing
once he gets a bit of
extra
else change.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we're
exactly.
Telling them that they're correct by the way that we behave.
Yeah.
We're telling them, either we'll admit that we'll burn our. That's how important it is. So you're absolutely right.
I agree with that, but again, I'm saying I actually I agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. But at the same time, I think that again we're asking black women to do something that we're not asking other women to do. I mean, you know, I mean, I think I read in one of these magazines at some point that you have white women who are saying they would give up 20 years of their life if they were thin for the whole time.
Oh, wow.
They would rather die sooner and be thin than to die fat. You know what I mean? So I'm saying, these images coming at you and what the dominant society is saying has its effect, and it's having the same effect on us as it's having on other women. It's not like we're the only ones that are affected by these images. Other women and other people are affected by these images as well, and we're no different. That's all I'm saying.
You know what? In
wait a minute. Hang on one second. I just want to ask a quick question and make a quick comment, and I'm muting my line, so this will be my final word. We'll be back tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Neely Fuller Jr. Should be constructive. I did want to say I don't agree with that statement just because this is the context of white supremacy. I think anything that has an impact on white people, it has double, triple, quadruple the impact on non-white people because of the system of white supremacy. So I just want to be very clear about that. The question that I wanted to pitch out, I was thinking, I guess just, in preparation for the program, I think 40 years ago, 1971, it wouldn't have been too significant to see a black female that was not straightening her hair, had, natural hair. It wouldn't have been that significant. 40 years later, I think that's kind of significant. You don't really see that very often. At least in my observation, you don't see that as often. And if that is correct, if you all are seeing the same trend, I think that is an illustration of how effective white people have been at refining their system and the impact that that's having on us. I just wanted to ask if you all have seen the same observation. Did you notice any watershed moments in this trend? If you've had that same observation, and what can we do to eradicate this? Because this does not look good. If this observation is correct, and this intensifies for another 50 years, it could not be good.
Definitely have seen that. And I think there were, for me, two watershed events, and that would be, the first one was the movie Superfly with Ron O'Neal. Back the image of what's attractive both for males and females, so light-skinned black men being considered attractive. You're certainly going to have that females are going to feel they have to do the same thing. And then when BET started up with the music videos and all of the females that were getting green-lighted, ultimately by the white supremacists, were these light-skinned, long, straight-haired females. That's been, 20, 30 years that people have been growing up on that. So it's been devastating.
Well, I can go even further back with, seeing the Supremes and Martha and the Vandellas and et cetera, the girl groups of the 60s, and none of them were wearing their hair. They were all wearing some kind of false hair, and wigs have always been somewhere a part of the black female community. What I've noticed recently, the trend has been how young the women have gotten and girls have gotten, and purchasing not wigs but the weaves to give the illusion that it's their hair.
That is devastating, just the idea that you've got something on you that you think defines your beauty, but deep down inside you know it's false. And what does that really do to your self-esteem? I mean, that's some serious damage. It means you kind of have to almost be not psychotic, but disassociated from reality to believe that that falseness that's on your hair actually makes you beautiful.
Mm-hmm. It's schizophrenic.
Yeah, it's something. It's deep damage.
The Jerry curl, I think, did the same thing because it made people think that it allowed them to go into this illusion of thinking, well, I don't have straight hair, but I have nasty curly hair.
I have something constructive to say. Can I be heard?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. There's a black female by the name of Renee. She, I just wanted to put this information out there about our hair and what we should be putting in our hair. And her website is healingherbsbyrenee.com and has a lot of constructive information about black women and kinky hair, if you want to call it that, on our website. And I think it's great information, and it's a constructive website if you are interested in learning about how to heal your hair, because I think that's the fear that we're not talking about on the phone is black women don't know how to take care of her hair properly in a timely fashion, and that's going to be something you definitely will have to talk about in order to make a transition. So I think we should support this black woman named Renee. And that was her website is healingherbsbyrenee.com. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have another watershed moment, if I can say something.
Good.
I would have to say Soul Train.
Really?
Soul what? Soul Train?
Yes.
So what?
Oh, 70s show?
I would have to say between 1980 and between 1985, where you had all these feminized-looking guys on the show with jerry curls and perms and bow colors and stuff like that. So for me, Soul Train had to be a show that was a watershed.
Mr. Hill, do you know that Soul Train, when it first came out, had afros all over the place?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. I'm not.
Yeah.
I remember. I'm sorry. I was born in 1976, so I didn't see that part. But the time when I was around 6 or 7, when I got a chance to watch it, it started off like that, and then it went somewhere else. And also, the movie New Jack City was a watershed moment for me too. It was a particular scene when Wesley Snipes, and anybody remember a guy named Christopher Williams, the singer?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I hate to say this, I remember that the scene where Wesley Snipes took the knife and stabbed him in his hand, and he said, "I ain't like your pretty, you know what?" Anyway, and I hate to say this, I was like, yes, and I was like, because as being somebody dark skinned, it was like, man, that's how I've been, that's been like for me back then when I was growing up. I felt that because all the guys who got attention was, light
skin, yellow bone.
Yeah.
I feel you. Now, I was in that same school. It happens to black men too. I mean, like the darker skinned brothers don't get, black men don't get as much attention, and if they do, I really think melanin has become criminalized. Like, if you see a dark skinned person, even if they're darker than you are, your automatic reaction is to think that either they're hostile, uneducated, ugly. All these negative feelings are supposed to arise whenever you see someone darker than you or dark as you. And then when you see someone lighter, it's supposed to make you feel, not as at unease or something like that. And I think that's the conditioning of white supremacy and how it teaches everybody, because everybody seems to have the same emotion. But the problem is which is the problem. The problem is everyone's looking through the eyes of white supremacy rather than, self-appreciation and justice and living in a different kind of world where everybody is comfortable with who they are and can therefore be more comfortable interacting with anyone else.
Can I ask you a question? Is that the reason why you started dating white women?
No, that was a completely different reason. I was raised down here in South Texas, so I moved. My mother was in the military, so I grew up in Japan, where there weren't too many blacks, and down here in Texas, in San Antonio, there are a lot of Mexicans, but there aren't too many blacks. Most of the black people are in Houston, and from here I went to Fairbanks, Alaska, which there's maybe 6 or 7 of us black people in the whole school, full of nothing but mostly white people.
That was interesting. Fairbanks, Alaska. I did want to make sure I pointed out the connection, good hair, and New Jack City. Similar, you got 2 of the same stars. You have Chris Rock, who in New Jack City, dark complexion male, was a crackhead.
Right.
And Ice-T, light complexion with a perm, he was the enforcement officer. He was the good guy. Chris Rock, the bad guy.
I mean, and Wesley Snipes, you can't forget about the drug dealer.
Right.
So.
Well, I'd like to bring up, I've seen over the years the transition of black men to Latinas. And I would like to know, what do you think, how that plays in white supremacy, their agenda?
I think I don't know. I mean, because that was my girlfriend was Latina, but I guess where I live is San Antonio, Texas, so we're right near Mexico, and all the Mexicans are around here. So, it's kind of, if you're going to date anybody, it's just the dating pool here versus anywhere else. It could depend on location as well.
But the question would be, do you consider so-called Mexicans victims of racism, white supremacy?
Most definitely. They seem to be one of the most, I remember when we all talk about slavery, we always talk about house Negro syndrome. How you have the house Negro who is allowed to work alongside the master, and he's in the house cooking their food, doing whatever, not working as hard as the slaves, or doesn't have as harsh as a lifestyle as the other dark-skinned males. And I think Mexicans have the same mentality down here, that because they, can go anywhere with a leaf blower or cut yards or take care of the children, that they're better than all black people down here. That you do have that. You do have that loud and clear. They make it well known that black people aren't liked. And it isn't because we stole their land. It isn't because we raped their women or have any kind of bad history with them, but it is definitely because white supremacy.
I'd like to say that some Mexicans are white.
I'm in Southeast Texas.
Some Mexicans are white people, and some Mexicans are not white people. And sometimes if you ask them, they'll tell you.
Yeah, I would agree with that. If you're referring to the mentality, yes. Their skin color is different, of course, but their mentality is of the white person. They actually do think that because they are allowed to own property down here in Texas and in San Antonio, so they run most of the restaurants down here, the car shops, anything down here. You can't take a look around 360 degrees without finding a Mexican restaurant. So they are allowed to work and establish a lifestyle here. Black people, not so much. If you have if we had a barbecue place over here and it got shut down, so we're not allowed to own property or build up our neighborhoods down here, and that's also due to white supremacy.
Well, I understand that, but I'm simply saying that there are some people who, if you ask if they're Mexican, it may take years for iterations. Are you a white person? And they will say yes. And I will get an undisputably white person and say, is he white? Say yes. So some of the, you got to go. You have to go or not. I
think you had Cree, correct me if I'm wrong. I think you asked the person who was so-called Spanish on your show one time.
Right.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. And you asked him, "Are you white?" And he kept saying, "No, I'm Latino. When I get a job, I'm white." I remember that. I remember that program. I remember that program you did, and I remember that you were going back and forth about him. You were asking him, "Are you white?" and he would not give you a clear-cut answer. I remember that program very. Matter of fact, I was listening to that program a couple of days ago.
They are a confused bunch, and it's not. And I can't. It's hard because you want to say, "Well, wake up and know that you're being used," but I mean, when they're in that mindset that I'm in a higher place than you are, they don't see any wrong in that. They don't know. I mean, I don't get. I get their mentality. I mean, they're suffering under the system just as everyone else, but they don't see it. I mean, they really get paid quarters to the dollar, pennies on the dollar. They get paid less than black men get paid, but they're able to have jobs, and they're able to own businesses, and they're able to. I mean, if you think about the United States, on every single phone call you make, whether it's to a bank or a business, they have two options. It's either English or Spanish. They don't have African, they don't have German, they don't have French. It's just English or Spanish. So they're well catered to in America.
So as it
I wanted to get a
to
question. I wanted to get a question asked before the timer ends. I wanted to ask why many black males shave their hair off. It's because they don't.
You're breaking up so badly. I didn't
hear
the question.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
I can't hear you.
Oh, it's terrible. Okay, I won't talk. Go ahead.
Try it again. We're clear
No,
now.
you're clear now.
Oh, okay. I wanted to ask why so many black males shave all their hair off. Is it that because they don't like their hair?
No, I shaved mine off,
No,
but two things. I mean, number one, it takes so long. If I had an afro, I did like maybe 3 months ago. But when you take a shower and you have to wash all your hair out, it takes a long while. When you cut it off, your showers are quicker. You don't have to spend as much time. You can get in and out and get on time to work.
That was an excellent question because I wondered about that too. Because, like I say, I think the men have as many hair issues as we do. And if a man had a short, cropped natural, it wouldn't take that long to wash his hair and dry it. Come on. Huh?
It doesn't take us a lot long to get ready. It doesn't. Not when we cut it.
Right, but I mean cut it down to the scalp. I'm talking about where it's almost like you took a shaver. And I used to, when I saw guys like that, and I had the same impression, I said, you know what? They got the same issues, the hair issues that we have. A lot of us do not like our hair. And the men have some of the same issues with not liking their hair.
Well, we get that too. I mean, like growing up, I mean, I was always called nappy headed. I don't know, I mean, I can have my hair combed and I'm still nappy headed just because my hair is natural. I'm like, well, why is my hair nappy when I just combed it or when I picked it out? And I'm always getting I used to get teased about my hair as well, but I mean, I guess it just didn't play on my my insecurities as big because I guess I always had the easy option of cutting it versus a female who has a bigger self-image to, probably worry about.
May I ask
have a news
on the
flash
line?
before the program ends, and I think it's important, and it's concerning the Innocence Project professor. He was pulled from his class. He can't teach the class anymore amid allegations of ethics violations. If you aren't familiar with the Innocence Project, they're the professor who uses his students to get innocent people out of jail, and most of the people and off of death row, and most of the people they have assisted, I think since 1995, 96, somewhere in there, have been black men. And this is very interesting in terms of white supremacy, why they would pull him out of the class.
Well, the answer's probably within the question, white supremacy. I mean, getting innocent black men off of death row isn't exactly the number one agenda on anybody's list, except for probably black men.
In terms of the topic at hand, I would like to ask the males on the line, have you ever thought about women that you've dated in terms of the hair of possible children that you might have?
Like, have I thought about, before
the texture
getting involved with someone, like what my child's hair would be like? Have I that kids were always in the talk, but just not the hair. I mean, I guess it's not a non-issue, but I just haven't gone into, my child's hair is going to be this, so I can't get with you, or I can get with you because my kid's hair is going to be good. But I mean, I have heard that. It's just not one of those factors in finding someone to spend, be a mate with or be a companion with. That's not one of the things, or one of my things anyway.
Simple answer, yes.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say real quickly that, whatever our hair issues are, the problem is white people. I think we should be able to be honest with each other and acknowledge that we have these issues. It's not a reflection of our character. It's not a reflection of who we are. It's a reflection of what has been done to us. So none of us have to be uncomfortable with each other because, I think we're all here to support each other. So if you have, if you feel like, you don't want to be totally honest, I'm trying not to, I got my issues up the wazoo. But the problem, again, is white people. It's not the brother's fault that they think the way they think. It's not the sister's fault that they think the way they think. The fault is the fault of white people and what they did to us. So if anybody should say it should be them. Huh?
I'm wondering if we could all say it together. The problem is white people.
1, 2, 3.
One, two,
White
the problem is white people.
White people.
Exactly. I didn't see any weaves in Africa 4,000 years ago. I didn't see any blonde weaves there.
Oh, no, Tom. They're there. They're there.
They're there now.
They are there.
I'm talking about before white people.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I don't think we had a problem with the way we looked before they came along.
I was wondering,
absolutely not.
Yeah.
When's the last time a black man has approached you that you didn't know and just said, wow, you look beautiful? And for the men, when's the last time you just complimented a black woman who was looking natural?
Thursday. Dang. And I did it on the program. And I almost put her picture up for this because you want to talk about white supremacy. It was a struggle to find images of darker black people with natural, like I put in a Google search for dark black female, and you will still end up getting like black people with a white parent, white people, like it was crazy, the white supremacy, just trying to find images of black hair. But be that as it may, Thursday, Investor, she's on my Facebook page. She had a gorgeous picture of both she and her mom, and they both had natural hair. And I almost put it up in the images, but I didn't know how she would feel about that. But Thursday.
For me, it was about 3 weeks ago, and it happens to me probably about once or twice a month.
Mm-hmm.
I compliment black females every chance I get.
Waving the white flag.
A huge number of Latino women are dyeing their hair blonde.
Man, let's not go there. I mean, I walk outside my door, that's all I see. I mean, it's just they watch. I mean, it's like you were saying y'all were saying earlier about how TV is bombarded with images and things. I don't understand what's going on with the Nicki Minaj's and just Lady Gaga's. You have a meat dress, you have pink hair, and you have the woman, the singer named Pink. Her hair is no longer pink; it's white. I mean, it's just all these different things with hair. So now that this subject comes up, I'm thinking about all the artists and their hair, and I'm like, well, wait a minute. That none of them. I'm like, is there anybody, any real singer or actor who has their real natural hair?
Maybe they make them wear their hair that way because they know the effect it has on the particularly the young people of color, the young females of color. I think Beyonce and all these other stars, I think that they are told they have to wear their hair a certain way. Beyonce, if she wanted to come out. Oh, you remember anybody see the TV Guide show that Why Did I Get Married To? It was like about an hour-long show of Tyler Perry. He was hosting the show, and he had the people come on from the movie. And Jill Scott came out in this beautiful natural. But when you see her in the film clip, in the same program, she's wearing a terrible weave. And I said, now, why couldn't she have worn that natural in that movie? I don't think they'll let them wear these naturals in the movie. I don't think they'll let black women wear their natural hair in the movie.
Mm-hmm. And they did the same thing to Cicely Tyson.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, guys, we didn't even talk about the natural hair movement and how it seems like the racist man, racist woman is manipulating that. I mean, with the massive makeup, with the, products, man, that's a whole nother issue. I think that's pretty. It's a pretty interesting phenomenon.
Well, just a quick question for the ladies. Can you tell me how much it costs to maintain this perverted hair, chemically mutilated hair, whatever the term we want to use, per year?
More than I'm willing to pay. This is Nanny.
Is it including the mani-pedi with the false nails and the false? Because I've looked at the board, and this, depending on the length of hair, I think is measured by the length of hair you want weaved in, and it starts, I believe, at $100, and I'm not sure if that includes the hair or that's separate. Maybe somebody knows more than I do. But I know that it definitely starts at $100.
There's a young lady at my job. I know her boyfriend was complaining because she asked him to get her hair done, and it cost $300 for her to get the new weave or whatever. And he was fussing because he had to give her $300. But I don't know what the average is, though.
I think the term is
year for a gym membership.
Huh?
That's a membership at a gym for a year.
Cost the grip. Cost the grip.
Well, let me kick out a situation. Like, would everybody just humor me here? If every black woman since the 70s went natural and stayed natural, wouldn't each dollar that was spent on your hair be towards getting black men through college?
Oh, we kill a lot of industries for sure.
I mean, if we took all the money that you spent all your hair, like through childhood, through your adult life, all that extra money, all the money that just women spend on women, wouldn't you think that you can pay for black men to go through college?
Okay. I'm getting hung up on you saying black men.
Yeah.
No, that's funny. That's what I'm saying. All the money was directed on women's hair, black women's hair. If that money was averted just to put into the energy for black men to go to college, how many black men would be graduates of college and have degrees and jobs by now?
The question is, if a black male had a black female partner and he had to choose between going to college and her having long, straight hair, which would he choose?
Probably college.
Well, I
mean,
know my
if you
partner
go-
would choose natural hair.
But I guess I'm just seeing correlation between, you know, a lot of black females putting all this money into their hair and then complaining about their men not, you know, being educated or in college or anything like that. Well, where's all the money for that? That's what I'm saying.
I don't think that's a connection. It sounds kind of like a blame game.
Is this
I don't think black women
with
spending
white
money on.
female that
I don't think we're keeping them from going to college. I don't think the money
Yeah.
is here. I think
that sounds like another third missile to me.
Right.
White,
the problem is black men not going to college.
I'm asking a question. Look, if I'm just saying that's a lot of money. If you saw good hair, it's a $9 billion industry. Are you saying $9 billion does not need to go to any black male to get an education and get a job? None of it?
No, I'm not saying. I just think that the question is being phrased in such a way that it's blaming.
Yeah, it's a fault.
Oh no, I'm not blaming. I'm just asking if the money was not here and it was here. That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. If all the money wasn't on the hair.
I'm going to say, given white supremacy, the answer is no. It still wouldn't go to black males going to college.
I'll go with
but
that.
But then what's really going to come out of black males going to college? You know, I don't think college is the answer for solving white supremacy.
Absolutely not.
For black males or females.